the daily life of a secret agent in American TV series. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 Fast and Furious 4. If you want an autograph by beating up the two guys on the ground, I'll give it to you now. I just ask you to spare my old ass. Believe me, it's nothing special. No. Ron waved his hands repeatedly and bent down to pick up the phone that flew out when he needed him. It was broken and unusable. A crappy Samsung, just not as sturdy as a Nokia. These two guys just kept following me, making me feel uncomfortable. My brother is really a fan of yours. He especially likes The Flash. Half of his t-shirts are of him. The Flash is from DC. The old man tapped his cane in dissatisfaction. Oh, yes, there are also Superman and Batman. Ron realized a hint of embarrassment and quickly tried to make up for it. They are also from DC. The old man stamped his feet in anger. Well, okay, anyway, my brother really likes your comics, although I can't remember what kind of comics he reads. Ron shrugged. Can we exchange contact information? I'll bring my brother to visit you when there's a chance. In an instant, another plan to get free high-end scientific research talents took shape in Ron's mind. Although the two had some unpleasantness during the guessing of the works, Ron still succeeded in getting Stan Lee's business card. On the other side of the city, the door of Dominic Toretto, the former leader of the Los Angeles underground racing gang, was knocked again. Maya opened the door, and outside the door was a woman as powerful as a cheetah. Letty. I missed you so much. Maya hugged her in surprise. After being intimate, Maya looked around at the dim street outside. Where is my brother? Did he come back with me? No, Letty said, a little guilty. I came back by myself. I have something to deal with. If your brother calls you, just say he has never seen me, okay? In fact, Letty returned to Los Angeles without telling Toretto. The reason was certainly not a cliché plot like cheating. But Letty saw that Toretto was tired of hiding from the police. Toretto was a person who often talked about the word home. Of course, his biggest wish was to stay with his family. Unfortunately, he had been wanted by the FBI nationwide, so he had to leave his sister alone in Los Angeles and wander back and forth between various countries in South America with his girlfriend and several other brothers on the road. Toretto wanted to go home, but because of Face, he didn't want to take the initiative to contact Ron. Letty didn't know why he didn't ask for help even though he had such a brother. Letty didn't understand what was going on between men, and she didn't want to get involved, but she was a good woman and wanted to help Toretto fulfill his wish to go home, so she went back to Los Angeles alone while Toretto was asleep. Okay, but Maya hesitated. Can I know what happened between you and my brother? You know, I always treat you as a family member. If there's anything between you, I can. No. There is no problem between us. Letty denied hastily, opened her mouth, and wanted to say something, but remembered Toretto's previous confession, and closed her mouth obediently. Maya took in Letty's expression. Come in, what can I do for you? Letty stood there, bit her lip and finally made up her mind. Maya, do you still have Ron's contact information? I mean Ron Lee Cooper. Ron. Maya's expression was a little excited, but she quickly concealed it. What happened to him? I haven't contacted him for a long time. Dom told me to try to have less contact with him. Can you give me his number? Of course. Maya turned on her phone and sent Ron's number to Letty by text message. Letty thanked her and turned to leave without even entering the house. Since you're home, why don't you come in and sit down? Maya asked in confusion. She felt that Letty looked strange today. No, things are a bit urgent. I have to go do something first. Letty declined the invitation, turned around and disappeared into the darkness, leaving Maya standing at the door in a daze. After a long time, she suddenly woke up belatedly. Oh my God. It's Ron. Ron is in Los Angeles, Maya exclaimed in surprise, took out her cell phone and dialed the number she had been thinking about day and night. Unfortunately, no one answered the call. Maya lowered her head sadly and closed the door with her cell phone. And Letty, who had just disappeared into the darkness of the street, called Ron countless times in a row, and cursed a bunch of words starting with F in disappointment, looking at the phone in disappointment. Damn it. Ron's phone can't be reached all the time. What is he doing over there? Did I come back for nothing? Letty pulled her hair in frustration. Just when she was at a loss, the screen of her cell phone suddenly lit up. and a strange number called in. Letty happily pressed the answer button. "Ron? Is that you? Sorry to disappoint you, Ms. Letty," a strange voice rang in the phone. "Let me introduce myself. My name is Stasiak, and I'm an agent working for the FBI." Hearing the word FBI, Letty's heart tightened. The other party continued, "I just found out that you smuggled into the country from the cargo terminal in Los Angeles at 10 o'clock this morning, right? What do you want to do?" Letty said vigilantly. "If you want to catch me, you can try. Relax, we don't have any bad intentions. I want to ask you, do you want a chance? A chance for you and Toretto to be pardoned and return to Los Angeles openly?" Letty was a little tempted, but with years of experience dealing with the police, she still did not relax her vigilance. She knew very well that there is no such thing as pie in the sky in this world. "I guess there must be conditions, right? What do you want me to do? It's just a trivial matter," the other party said in a very relaxed tone, as if asking Letty to bring them a hamburger, "but this hamburger is a bit deadly. Recently, a powerful drug lord named Braga has appeared in Los Angeles. He is very mysterious and we have lost several undercover agents, so we want to try to find someone to help us from outside. I received a tip that he is looking for a driver to work for him. I heard that your driving skills are not much worse than Toretto, right?" Letty unconsciously tightened her grip on the phone. Although the FBI downplayed the incident, she had to pay attention to the loss of several people. Seeing that there was silence, Stasiak continued to add chips. "If you can help me successfully catch Braga, I can even clear all your previous criminal records. How about it? I promise." Chapter 102 Cooper's Family Affairs. The next day, Ron woke up from the bed in Max's living room, put on his clothes and left quietly, feeling very emotional. Last night was so exciting. The two beautiful girls successfully got the editor-in-chief of the food magazine and got a small page report, which was a big step forward for their cake business. Ron also received a considerable amount of tax from the party planner Paul. To celebrate this achievement, Caroline drank a whole bottle of champagne. However, with her miserable alcohol tolerance, as expected, Ron carried her back and put her on her pink folding bed. Then Max pushed Ron down next to Caroline. Right next to the drunken Caroline, the two rolled together. Of course, this was not the most amazing thing. The most amazing thing was that not long after Max returned to the bedroom, Caroline sobered up, and the two played another game, which lasted until dawn. So does this count as indirect three people playing together? Ron was still thinking about it from the office to home, but when he returned to the apartment, he didn't have the heart to think about it anymore, because there was an unexpected guest in the apartment. "Missy. Long time no see, when did you come? You should have told me in advance so that I could pick you up." Ron was immediately surprised by the beauty sitting on the sofa, surrounded by three Atticas. Missy hit Ron lightly and complained, "Your phone has been unreachable. I thought you were doing some task, so I drove to Sheldon's school again. My phone was accidentally broken yesterday, and I haven't had time to buy a new one." Ron took out a broken Samsung phone from his trouser pocket, and his vigilant eyes swept over the faces of the three Atticus one by one. Everyone who looked at him shrank his neck. "What are you talking about?" "I was telling them about Sheldon modifying my oven when he was 8 years old, that time when my eyebrows were burned." Missy frowned in dissatisfaction even when she thought of what happened at that time. "I remember." Ron stroked his forehead. "You wore the comma eyebrows your mother drew for you for a whole semester, and I beat up several bad kids who laughed at you. As a result, during that period, Georgia and I were chased home from school by their brothers every day after school." Sheldon, who was sitting next to the computer, turned his head and said, "I want to make home integrated circuits, and I need a place to melt the semiconductor ceramic substrate. You can obviously use the school's furnace." Missy sat back on the sofa and continued to accuse Sheldon of his crimes to the three Atticus who were only busy glancing at her face when Ron wasn't paying attention. "He also wanted to build an armed robot to drive me out of the garage. If you hadn't kept breaking into the garage, I wouldn't have had to." "That was my laboratory," admitted Ron. Took out a bottle of milk from the refrigerator and drank it in big gulps as if he was at home, and patted Sheldon's shoulder earnestly. "You don't have any talent to be an engineer or experimental physics. You can only do theory. For professional matters, you have to rely on others." At this point, Howard and Leonard puffed out their chests proudly. "Yes, that's right. Ron was talking about me." Sheldon opened his mouth and was about to refute, but the door of the apartment was opened again, and Penny held up a pair of blue shorts and shouted, "Leonard, you forgot your underwear in the dry cleaner downstairs." It was a Superman-style, which made Leonard, who had just found a little self-esteem in front of Missy, suffer another blow. He could only wave his hands in a casual manner and quickly denied, "That's not mine, really? There is a small label with your name inside." Not knowing whether it was intentional or not, Penny turned over the inside and asked in confusion. Little did she know that this action exposed the capital S on the outside of the shorts, which represented Superman, to everyone, and Leonard was immediately killed. "Yes, that's it," Leonard said as if he suddenly realized. "Isn't this the rag I used to wipe the harpoon?" "Yes, that's right. I always use a harpoon to fish. There are 3 common ways for Americans to fish: fishing rods, fishing nets and harpoons. Fishing with a harpoon is recognized as one of the most manly sports." "Leonard fishes with a harpoon?" Ron sneered but didn't point it out. He could imagine the scene. On a fishing boat, Leonard walked with short legs and held a harpoon taller than his body, proudly showing off to everyone, and the fish on the harpoon was just a little bigger than a shrimp. Forget it, Leonard didn't have the chance to pick up Missy anyway, so Ron continued to drink milk and appreciate Leonard's poor performance. "When I'm not hunting with a bow, I usually go fishing with a spear," Leonard explained again and introduced the new member to Penny. "Penny, this is Missy, Sheldon's twin sister." Wow, Penny walked into the house. "You two don't look alike at all. Fraternal twins come from 2 different eggs. They are not like ordinary twins." "Hallelujah," Ron sighed sincerely. "Fortunately, Missy doesn't look like you at all. Otherwise, facing 2 Sheldons at the same time, I don't know if I would have the courage to live." For the next half hour, Ron and Penny took various things from Sheldon's refrigerator to eat, and watched with interest as the 3 nerds attacked Missy in various ways. Even Penny couldn't stand it anymore. She came up to Ron and whispered, "Why don't you do anything about it?" "Why?" Ron asked indifferently while chewing the food in his mouth. "Are you jealous of Leonard, or do you think these 3 nerds will have any chance?" "No, Leonard and I have nothing to do with each other. We are just ordinary friends," Penny explained quickly. "I've been dating someone else recently. The same goes for Missy. She's actually engaged." Ron looked at Penny's mouth opened in surprise, and quickly made a gesture to silence her to stop her exclamation. "Yes, her fiancé is my good friend, Forrest Gump, a good man who will always treat Missy well, and he is the owner of a shrimping company in Alabama." Ron shrugged and continued, "But I think shrimping is too tiring, and it is not conducive to their future life. After all, sailors are on the ship, you know, so I am planning to let him sell the company, and then use all the money to buy Apple stock, and come to Los Angeles to live with us. By the way, do you want to buy some Apple stock too? You will make a lot of money in the future. I might as well buy a few more pairs of beautiful shoes with that money. Who knows if the stocks will lose money in the future?" Penny rolled her eyes. "But is it really okay to leave them like this?" "Of course, I'm curious about their expressions when they find out Missy has a fiancé." Ron smiled with evil taste. Chapter 103 Cooper's Family Affairs 2. "So, are you going to tell them?" Ron narrowed his eyes and stared at Penny, who shuddered. "Of course not, but I think these gentlemen will still be a little restrained if Missy is present." Ron was interested in watching the fun, and a bad idea came to his mind as his eyes rolled. "Why don't you take my sister out for a walk? She hasn't had much fun in Los Angeles." "Go out for a walk? Isn't that what you 2 brothers should do?" Penny rolled her eyes. "Besides, I don't have much money." Ron handed Penny a card. "Go ahead, get your nails done or have some fun. I'll pay for all the expenses tonight." "Missy knows the password." Penny cheered and kissed Ron hard on the face, making his face full of saliva. Ron quickly wiped it with his sleeve. "Hey, don't spend money carelessly." Ron looked at Penny's look and felt more and more unsafe. He took the bank card back and shouted to Missy, "Missy, Penny asked you if you want to get your nails done together. She wants to take you out to play." "Great." Missy stood up, took the bank card from Ron, and walked out of the house hand in hand with Penny. Before leaving, Penny didn't forget to glance at the 3 Otacus proudly. That look seemed to say, "Look, didn't the goddess you have been thinking about finally go with me?" Bang! As the door closed, the 3 Otacus who had been friendly at first showed their true colors. Howard was the first to attack. "Listen, you 2, get out of my way." The Indian pushed Howard's hand away unconvinced. "Why should I get out of my way?" "Get out of my way, men. Sorry, this is my house. She is my roommate's sister." Leonard inserted himself between the 2, trying to use the advantage of being the host to prove the legitimacy of his pursuit of Missy. "Howard, so what? You already have Penny." "Leonard, how do I have Penny? And when did Penny become mine?" "Howard, then can I pursue her?" Go to hell. No, sorry, can I interrupt? Sheldon finally broke away from his focus on work. I'm a little hungry. I plan to order a pizza, pepperoni pizza. Are you all going to eat it? And a cheese bacon pizza. Ron raised his hand. I have a big appetite. I'll eat one by myself. Don't worry, I'll pay you for the meal in one lump sum at the end of the month. You two, can I talk to you privately? Seeing that the argument with his two friends had no results so far, Leonard planned to come up with a roundabout way to save the country. What a clever little guy. However, Ron completely saw through his sinister intentions and refused before Sheldon agreed. If you want us to talk about Missy, I think we should make it clear here. Okay. Leonard glanced at Ron helplessly, and found that he was not as easy to fool as Sheldon, so he could only stand there and start his speech. Of course, his main target was Sheldon. Sheldon, don't you realize that your sister's charm is irresistible? She does have a well-proportioned and low-fat figure favored by Western culture. Sheldon nodded in agreement with Leonard's statement. In fact, in history, fatter women were more popular. Because their waists meant wealth. Leonard, don't beat around the bush. What exactly do you want to say? Ron's question successfully attracted the attention of the other two little Atticus. Leonard quietly moved a few steps and distanced himself from Howard and Rajesh. I mean, the two of them. Howard and Rajesh are also targeting your sister. The two people whose names were called glared at each other. Also, Ron smiled. So you are one of the people who have their eyes on my sister, Leonard. It doesn't matter. Who she is dating is none of my business, Sheldon said in confusion. Leonard reminded in a stern tone, she is your sister. Yes, we stayed in the same womb together for 9 months, but from then on, you went your way and I went mine, and we had no contact anymore. Well, think about it this way. Leonard began to find reasons for Sheldon's intervention. Your father is not around now, so from a traditional point of view, the task of ensuring that your sister dates the right person falls on you two brothers. Besides, you and Missy are twins. Do you know what this means? I didn't think of this before. Sheldon realized, we do have the same DNA, so there is a possibility, although it is not likely, that she may create another me. Another extraordinary person like me. Leonard rubbed his hands excitedly. That's right. And you have the responsibility to ensure the genetic integrity of your sister's offspring. You're right, Sheldon said excitedly. If someone wants to make Missy pregnant, they must get my consent. I don't want Missy to give birth to a stupid child like Forrest Gump. Who is Forrest Gump? Sheldon interrupted. It doesn't matter ahem, but he was interrupted again, this time by Ron, the male member of the Cooper family who had more say. Sheldon, do I need to remind you of Missy's warning to you before? No. Sheldon immediately covered his crotch reflexively. Very good. Ron casually threw the ice cream box he had just finished into the trash can. I just listened to you guys talking for a long time. You all want to pursue my sister, right? The three heads nodded together, staring at Ron with pitiful and eager eyes. But there is a very serious problem. Our family is a traditional Christian family, and Missy's favorite food is fried pork chops and grilled beef brisket. Leonard felt that he had won and raised his head high, but his other two friends did not think so, and immediately started to defend themselves. Is it because I am a Jew? As long as your sister can be with me, I will choke my Jewish mentor to death with fried pork chops now. Yes, that's right, for your sister. I am willing to betray Hinduism and serve God from now on. Ron covered his face. Missy's charm was really too great. Well, gentlemen, if that's the case, then let's use the fairest way to decide who among you will become a member of the Cooper family. Ron took out another box of ice cream from the refrigerator, opened it, and found a comfortable place to sit down to watch the show. You know Missy is from Texas, and we Texans value the use of force the most, so you can duel, and the last man standing will automatically become Missy's suitor. How about that? As soon as he finished speaking, Rajesh immediately threw Howard to the ground and hooked his neck tightly. I am possessed by Lord Shiva, and I will definitely get that woman. I am the judo champion of the math summer camp. Just wait and see. Chapter 104 Car Explosion. The war between the three Atticus ended with a victory of the Indian, who was slightly stronger than the other two Indians. Long live Shiva. I succeeded. I can marry the Cooper woman soon. Rajesh jumped up happily, and Ron patted his shoulder with satisfaction. Congratulations, lucky guy. Can I marry Missy? Can the wedding be held in India? I can reimburse your family for the plane tickets, arrange for you to stay in the most luxurious hotel in New Delhi, and each of you will be assigned 3 untouchables as servants. Rajesh talked freely, completely immersed in the fantasy of a better life with Missy in the future, and unconsciously revealed all his family's assets, but the other two Atticus were immersed in the frustration of failure and didn't listen to what he said at all. Of course, as long as, Ron dragged his voice. As long as what? Ron opened the photo in the photo album and held it in front of Rajesh. As long as you defeat this man again, I promise that Missy will be yours. Who is this? Rajesh asked in a trembling voice. On Ron's phone, a man holding a heavy machine gun stared at the camera with an indifferent, actually dull, look, like an emotionless killer looking at a corpse. Rajesh was instantly scared to pee. He really peed, and he felt a warmth in his crotch. Did I say that? Oh, look at my brain. Ron pretended to be annoyed and patted Sheldon's head gently. Sheldon dared not say anything and decided to write down his behavior and complain to his mother next time. This is Forrest Gump, my neighbor, Missy's fiancé, and also a soldier of the Navy SEALs, one of the most famous killing machines, a man who can run 5 kilometers cross-country with a squad machine gun. I forgot to tell you before, I'm very sorry. Ron said sorry, but there was no apology on his face, only that he deserved a beating, but unfortunately 3 little Atticus together were not enough for Ron to beat with one hand. While playing, Ron's phone suddenly rang. It was an unfamiliar call. Ron didn't want to answer it, but when he saw the number displayed in all places, his heart moved. Dominican Republic? Isn't this where Toretto is hiding? I remember that when I called Toretto last time, he was leaving Cuba to flee there. Ron also asked Yuri's transport ship to send him a section and give him some toys. Ron pressed the call button, and Toretto's low voice sounded on the other end of the phone. Ron, it's me, Toretto. Has Letty contacted you these 2 days? No, I haven't received her call. What's wrong? Ron heard a hint of anxiety from Toretto's tone. Letty has returned to Los Angeles. Maya said she saw her yesterday. When she stayed at home, she said she had something to do and went out. I thought she would come to you to talk about amnesty. No, she didn't come to me. If she had come to me, I would have informed you as soon as possible. What happened? Toretto's tone was more serious than ever before. Letty is in trouble. Look at the car explosion yesterday. That car belongs to Letty. Car explosion? Ron suddenly had a bad premonition in his heart. No way? He had already agreed with Toretto about the amnesty, so he wouldn't go back to square one. Where are you now? Ron pushed Sheldon aside and grabbed the computer to search for reports on the car bombing. Everything was exactly the same as the movie scenes he remembered. Letty was killed. I'm looking for a cargo ship to go back at the port. Toretto's tone was extremely firm. I will definitely avenge my family with my own hands, and no one can stand in my way. Don't worry, I don't intend to stand in your way. Letty is also my family. When talking about his family, Toretto rarely objected, but you can't come back like this. You will be caught by the FBI before you can take revenge. Listen, I will give you a call in a while. It's Orlov's men. Tell me my name and he will let you get on the boat. The boat will take you all the way to the port of Los Angeles. I'll wait for you in Los Angeles. There was a long silence on the phone, and Toretto's voice finally sounded again. Thank you, Ron. We are family, aren't we? Yeah. Ron turned off the phone and stood up. Sheldon immediately took back his seat, and wiped the mouse and keyboard that Ron had just used with a wet wipe with dissatisfaction. Ron's eyes twitched, and he resisted the urge to slap him on the table. Sheldon, you have to take Missy to the airport tomorrow. Did you hear me? Sheldon raised his head. Why should I do it? She obviously wanted to come to see me on her own, because you are my brother, and I have something else to do and I have to go out now. By the way, Leonard, tell Penny that I will not be back today, and let Missy sleep in my room. After that, Ron turned and left the apartment. On the way downstairs, 4 text messages were sent from Ron's mobile phone, 2 to summon Hank and Arthur, 1 to send the contact information of Orlov's men to Toretto, and the last one to a very unexpected person. I will see you at your fried chicken shop in an hour. Recipient, Gustavo Flynn, the drug lord nicknamed Uncle Fried Chicken by Ron. If Ron remembered correctly, the one who attacked Letty was a drug dealer named Barak. As the drug king of Los Angeles, no one knew the intelligence of the underground drug forces in Los Angeles better than him. People in the same industry are all enemies. Ron had a good reason for the other party to cooperate well. An hour later, Ron ignored the closed for business sign on the door of the fried chicken shop and pushed the door open. As expected, Uncle Fried Chicken was already waiting at the same seat as last time. In the huge shop, there was no clerk but him. When he saw Ron, He immediately stood up and greeted him with his signature smile like a waiter. "Excuse me, how can I help you?" "Put away your damn smile. I don't have the heart to play any tricks with you today." Ron ignored Uncle Fried Chicken and sat down at the seat next to him. "I came here today for one thing. How much do you know about Barak's intelligence? I want you to tell me everything you know." "I'm sorry, sir, I don't understand what you are saying," Fried Chicken said while holding the plate, with an expression that he didn't understand what you were saying. Seeing this, Ron got angry and took out a gun from his waist and put it on Fried Chicken's head. M1911 Rock Island Arsenal Collector's Edition. "Now do you understand what I am saying? If your answer does not satisfy me, I will let you go peacefully. P.S. There is electricity and internet, but it is not very stable yet." Resume the update. Chapter 105. Giselle. Ron and Uncle Fried Chicken have a very delicate relationship. The two are rivals on the surface, and Ron also took away a large part of the tax from Uncle Fried Chicken. Logically, with Uncle Fried Chicken's fierce temper as a drug lord, it would be a light punishment to kill Ron's whole family. But he didn't do that, and decisively admitted his weakness in front of Ron. This seems incredible to outsiders, but it is easy to understand for Ron. Almost all those who work in intelligence know that the CIA has been infiltrating intelligence into other countries through drug dealers, and Uncle Fried Chicken is the best among the CIA's tentacles. When Ron visited, he directly revealed his identity, and his subsequent behavior to Francis was actually conveying the message to the CIA through him. They knew each other well, so Ron didn't have to worry about revenge from Uncle Fried Chicken at all. Moreover, even if Uncle Fried Chicken really had a brain water and planned to fight Ron to the death, he was actually not afraid. Not to mention that Uncle Fried Chicken's main power was in California, nor how tough the people of Texas were. Forrest Gump, who lives next door to Ron's house, is not a character that those gangsters can deal with, not to mention the dozen or so comrades who live with him and were carried back from the battlefield. Each of these combat elites has a good combat capability and is the real elite force of the United States. They all think they owe Forrest Gump a life. And Forrest Gump is Ron's brother-in-law, which means that the Cooper family has more than a dozen elite soldiers protecting them. What kind of security level is this? Even government officials probably don't have this treatment, right? Therefore, Ron is not worried at all that Uncle Fried Chicken or some other forces will use his family as a bargaining chip to threaten him. The corners of Uncle Chicken's mouth twitched. Although he was thinking about asking his men to take submachine guns and kill this bastard, he still had a smile on his face. "You know, although they are all drugs, my side mainly deals in methamphetamine, and those people mainly deal in heroin. We are actually not in the same business, so we don't have much dealings, but," Uncle Chicken added before Ron got angry, "I vaguely heard that someone recently delivered goods from Mexico to this side through the mine in the south. Because the road inside the mine is very difficult to travel, they have been recruiting racers from the drag racers in Los Angeles. Maybe you can try to lurk in as a racer. It happens that I have a friend who works for Barack. Maybe she can help you blend in with those racers." Ron keenly caught the word she. As far as he knew, drug dealers' men were generally male members. He didn't expect that Uncle Chicken also had such an outstanding female member. Ron found it a little incredible. "You also have a very good female undercover agent." "It sounds incredible." "No, I think you misunderstood." Uncle Fried Chicken pushed his glasses and stretched out a hand to Ron. "She is someone above, and I can temporarily authorize you to use her, on the condition that you will not disturb my business in the future. Of course, I will pay the tax. If you are worried, I can also let you station an accountant here." It sounds like the CIA wants to keep things quiet. This is not surprising. Recently, politicians have been questioning the CIA, which belongs to the Pentagon, about the unknown use of funds. The CIA has been in a mess. At this time, they don't want the Francis faction, which has a great voice, to jump out and cause trouble again, so this can be understood as a means of showing goodwill to the Francis faction. Moreover, if Ron's target is Rabik, then conversely, he is also helping Uncle Fried Chicken to clean up his competitors. It can be regarded as working for the CIA, working for free. They are so happy that they can't wait to make things difficult. Deal. Feeling that there was no pitfall in this cooperation, Ron slapped Uncle Fried Chicken's palm. "Giselle, you can come out now," Uncle Fried Chicken shouted to the cashier and turned to walk out the door, leaving the space in the house to Ron. A beautiful woman in a tight leather jacket walked out of the kitchen at the back. Her long legs made Ron feel very friendly. "CIA agent, Giselle reports to you, sir," The beautiful woman saluted Ron with a chivalrous and dashing manner. Ron nodded with satisfaction, but his heart was like a turmoil. Oh my god, it's really Gal Gadot. Yes, that's right, Uncle Fried Chicken called the female agent who helped Toretto in Fast and Furious 4. Ron had always thought that Giselle was a member of the drug cartel, but he didn't expect that she was a CIA person. The CIA is really omnipresent. Tisk tisk, I don't mean to be sexist. With a figure like yours, it's a pity to be an agent instead of a model, Ron praised sincerely, but Giselle was upset. Giselle frowned slightly, then immediately relaxed, looking around Ron with a presumptuous look. Excuse me, it's a pity for you to be a nightclub duck with a figure like yours. I don't mean to be sexist either, okay? I offended you. Ron rubbed his forehead awkwardly. I just didn't expect to meet such an outstanding woman like you in the agent industry. I always think that women like you are more suitable to appear in Hollywood and act in movies made from our stories, rather than directly become characters in the story. Oh, Giselle put away her slightly hostile eyes and asked with interest, then what do you think? If I appear in the movie, what kind of role will I play? An agent like now, or a superhero wearing armor that doesn't cover much more than a swimsuit, like Wonder Woman, a female hero holding a small whip in one hand and a sword in the other? Ron gestured a whip-swinging action. That's the lasso of truth and the sword of Vulcan. Giselle smiled. Do you like reading comics too? I have a younger brother who loves superhero comics. Maybe you will have something to talk about. No, Giselle shook her head. I just learned that being able to interrupt other people's topics at any time is a compulsory course for every agent. Don't tell me you haven't learned this in school. I don't want to have an unreliable superior. Your appearance makes me doubt whether you can successfully infiltrate Barak's drug trafficking group. Sorry, I'm a halfway agent and graduated from the Chinese department of Harvard. But who told you that I plan to infiltrate Barak's group? Shouldn't the plan be made by the superior? It was the first time that Giselle met such a difficult superior. She asked back, then what are your plans? I plan to have a midnight snack first. Eating fried chicken at night is too unhealthy. What do you think of Chinese food? I know a good Chinese restaurant. Do you want to try it together? Ron had a mischievous smile on his face. He was very curious about what expression the beautiful Gal Gadot would have when she ate snail noodles. It must be exciting. The update is in the book review section. I am safe now, please rest assured. Chapter 106, Meeting at the Restaurant. The FBI Los Angeles headquarters has been working overtime for several days and nights, and the lights are on. Recently, in addition to the blue powder that was originally flooding the streets of Los Angeles, high-purity heroin from Mexico has begun to appear on the market on a large scale. This made the boss of the headquarters very annoyed, so Jack, who had no one to use, even released the former FBI agent O'Connor who was in prison and recruited him back. Now, the reinstated agent O'Connor was pushing a bald man who looked like Toretto towards the detention room, and a short detective came out of the door angrily. O'Connor, if you let my witness go again. The short man walked up to O'Connor quickly and pushed him against the wall with force, intending to teach him a lesson. But he didn't expect that O'Connor would use his strength to hit his head against the wall, and he fell to the ground with a nosebleed. Enough. Jack came out of the office to clean up the mess. During this time, the short agent pushed away a colleague who was trying to help him up, and climbed up by himself with the help of the wall. You're done, O'Connor. Stasiak, go wash up, Jack ordered after glancing at the short agent's embarrassed look. At the same time, he couldn't help sighing in his heart. If it weren't for the fact that his men were so useless, why would he need to bring O'Connor back from prison? No, Stasiak suspected that Jack had Alzheimer's disease, and accused loudly, he started it first. He hit me first. You? This is not the Boy Scouts. I have no interest in who is right or wrong among you, Jack interrupted his nonsense impatiently. Go. Your blood is about to drip on my floor. There is no right or wrong in the FBI, only strength is respected. If Stasiak was smarter and caught that bastard named Barak earlier, he wouldn't have to take the risk of reinstating O'Connor. As a result, the idiot just lost a newly developed female undercover. O'Connor, when the onlookers had dispersed, Jack approached. Do you know the difference between police and criminals? What? Subjective judgment. Jack reminded O'Connor again that the power of life and death was in his own hands. Be good, kid. At the same time, in Los Angeles Chinatown, Ron took Giselle to a Chinese restaurant in a small alley. It's a bit exaggerated to call it a restaurant. This shop can accommodate a total of 8 tables, which can accommodate up to 32 people to dine together. The owner is an immigrant who just came from China, and he has brought a new kind of food to this desert of food. It is the hottest restaurant in this area recently. However, the hot business is limited to Chinese immigrants who have also just arrived. Even the older generation of immigrants will cover their noses and pass quickly when passing by the store like other Americans because of the smell in the store. That's right, the food served in this store is the snail rice noodle that even many Chinese people are afraid of. But what Ron never expected was that when Giselle tried to put the sour bamboo shoots into her mouth with a disgusted expression under his deception, she immediately changed to an expression of great enjoyment. She began to use chopsticks that she was not proficient in, and slurped the rice noodles in big mouthfuls. This scene simply made Ron dumbfounded. How do you think it tastes? Giselle, whose tongue was burned by the juice, took a big gulp of water and then raised a thumb with a satisfied look. This tastes so good, I didn't expect there is such a delicacy in the Eastern world. To be honest, when I first smelled it, I thought you were playing a prank on me. It smelled like shit, but I didn't expect it to taste so good. How did you say that Chinese word just now? Can't stop. Ron covered his face. The prank failed. He didn't expect Giselle to be a foodie. He learned something new. Giselle's eyes lit up. Yes, that's the word. Okay, although the prank failed, Ron didn't feel too frustrated. He turned his eyes to another bowl that hadn't been touched from beginning to end. Toretto, do you think I lied to you? Giselle said it was really delicious. Don't you really want to eat some? You must be hungry after drifting on the smuggling boat for so long. No. Since I was caught by you last time, I swear not to eat any food you give me. Don't even think about it this time. Toretto frowned. This stuff tastes like shit. Ron drank a mouthful of soup comfortably under Toretto's surprised gaze. I told you at that time that Chinese food is profound and extensive. Don't be deceived by its appearance. The liquid that looks like mineral water may be snakegrass water that you don't want to remember in your dreams, and the tofu that smells like shit may be the most delicious food you have never seen in your life. No matter what you say, I won't try it. Toretto folded his arms across his chest. Is Letty's information accurate? Is there really nothing wrong with her? Really? Ron put down the bowl. I'm very sure that she has come out of the hospital and was taken away by a group of terrorists hiding behind Barak, but I haven't figured out her exact whereabouts. Give my intelligence agent some time. I believe he can figure it out. Ron put a few photos of Letty taken by the hospital surveillance camera on the table, but Toretto pushed them over. These were found by Peggy after hacking into the hospital system. However, due to the fact that smartphones were not well developed in this era, and there were very few cameras on the street, Peggy had no way to locate the terrorists through hacking. There was no other way. Ron could only tell Toretto that Letty was safe. As for how to get her back, either wait until the iPhone 4 is launched, ushering in the era of comprehensive intelligence, and let Peggy make a software like the one in Fast and Furious 7 that can hack into all mobile phones and public cameras. Otherwise, he can only wait until the plot of Fast and Furious 6 begins, and then bring Letty back when dealing with the terrorists. Of course, he has a third way, which is to contact the fat man named Sherlock Holmes in London, the brother of Mr. Foul-Mouthed Sherlock, who is a senior member of the British Intelligence Department. If Ron remembers correctly, the mustache terrorist seems to have a deep connection with the British government. The Great Ying Empire is indeed the world's #1 troublemaker. But the price to pay, God knows what price Mr. Holmes will offer. But I told you in advance that she has lost her memory and doesn't remember who we are, Ron reminded. Toretto's eyes were firm. It doesn't matter. As long as I can find her, I will definitely find a way to make her recover. Family is always family. Yes, that's right, Ron nodded, but before that, we have to get back Letty's account first. Chapter 107 Kiki. Okay, now it's okay. Ron closed the engine cover and wiped the oil off his hands with a rag. Because of the Letty incident, he was fully recognized by Toretto, so he got a new skill from Toretto again, Master Mechanic. Whether it's repairing or modifying, as long as it's related to the car, everything is handy. After getting this skill, Ron immediately started working and began to tinker with his bumblebee. But he didn't expect that Giselle didn't play ambiguity with Toretto like in the original book, but ran over to help him, and sat on the engine cover after Ron finished the modification. Giselle's eyes were as charming as silk. Hey, now I know your car taste. Tell me what kind of woman you like. Peggy, who is far away in Texas, threw the eavesdropping device hard. Do you think I don't exist? Peggy took out a thick notebook from the drawer of the pink desk. solemnly added another name on the notebook, and marked the 4 words New Vixen with a red new bold marker. And the new name is Giselle. Ron's scumbag nature was activated, staring at Giselle's eyes affectionately, smart, wise, brave, able to kick over any man who makes her unhappy, and most importantly, the lines of these legs are never boring no matter how you look at them. As he said that, Ron's hand was very dishonestly placed on Giselle's leg, and Giselle did not make any move to resist, which made Ron's heart scream with excitement and began to explore Giselle further. Unfortunately, just as Ron finished his dessert and was about to start the main meal, his cell phone rang at an inopportune time. Ron looked down at the phone number. "Damn FBI," Ron cursed angrily, and under Giselle's teasing eyes, he had to put on his shirt and press the answer button. "Jack, I don't think my relationship is good enough for you to call me so late. What's the matter, Ron? I'm having some difficulties." In the receiver, it was the voice of FBI Inspector Jack. "Well, thank you for telling me the good news. I guess I should have a good dream tonight." "Good night." Ron was impatient to hang up the phone. Because in the sound of just 2 words, Giselle provocatively rubbed the long legs that he had just praised back and forth on Ron's body, and Ron's anger kept rising. "Wait," Jack's voice sounded a little sad. "Do you still remember Kiki?" Hearing this name, Ron's face showed a nostalgic look. He no longer had the heart to play with Giselle. He took the phone and walked to the side. "Remember, the first teacher who brought me into this industry was also my old superior. I heard that he has retired. Is he doing well recently?" Kiki, the guide who led Ron into the profession of agent at the most confused moment when Ron was about to graduate from college, can even be regarded as his second life mentor in some ways. The first one was of course old George. "He's dead," Jack's voice ruthlessly sentenced Ron's teacher to the end. "What?" Ron asked in disbelief. He was only 55 years old. How could he die so early? What happened? "Did you ask him to go undercover again?" "He asked for it himself," Jack explained. "He wanted to do one last job before retiring. He didn't expect that he would fail this time." Our people found his body under a bridge in Orange County yesterday. The autopsy report shows that he was injected with a large amount of amphetamines before his death, which allowed him to stay awake while being tortured. 5 ribs were smashed with blunt objects. Both legs were skinned and flesh below the knees. His nose was cut off with a blade. His chin was smashed with a blunt object. His 2 eyeballs were crushed. His 8 fingers were chopped off, and his head was drilled with an electric drill to create a diameter that would be too large to be true. If I didn't know about the genetic comparison, I wouldn't even be able to recognize that he was Kiki. "Stop talking." Ron clenched his fists unconsciously. "I just want to know who did it." Jack spit out a name. "Barack, the Mexican drug lord who has been in the limelight recently. He has always wanted to open up the Los Angeles market. I have sent several undercover agents, and they all died in his hands. I heard that your people have also been lurking under his command recently. I think, maybe we can cooperate on this matter. Because it was too long ago, he has forgotten many plots in Fast and Furious 4 except for Gal Gadot's long legs." So under Giselle's arrangement, Toretto once again joined Barack's team as an undercover driver, just like in the original Time and Space, and Detective O'Connor was there as expected, so it was not surprising that Jack knew Ron was also tracking this case. Ron never thought that a little Barack could anger the 3 major intelligence agencies of the United States at the same time without knowing it. It must be said that this is also a skill. But his life is over, Ron said. "Cooperation? Forget it." Ron decisively rejected Jack's proposal. "Your men have been infiltrated like a sieve. Have you ever thought about how your undercovers died? I really don't know how you still have the face to sit in your position." Because of the murder of the teacher, Ron was unusually angry and couldn't help but vent his anger on Jack. "I know, so I have already written my resignation report. As soon as Barack is caught, I will resign immediately. That's your business." "Thank you for reminding me that I must find him before you." Ron shook his head. "And there is only one thing I have to do, and that is to send Barack to see God, and before that, to repay him for all the suffering that Kiki has suffered in her life." After that, Ron hung up the phone without waiting for Jack to reply, and turned to face Giselle. "I'm sorry to disturb your interest. Maybe we can continue next time. Now there is something urgent that I need to deal with. Do you know where Toretto and others were taken tonight?" "You asked me this question yesterday." Giselle put on his shirt helplessly. "I don't know either. This person is very careful. Even though I have been among them for so long, I have never seen his true face. It has always been the agent who is giving orders for him." This point awakened Ron, and Ron had a flash of inspiration. He vaguely remembered some plots. It seemed that Barack, the final boss of this movie, appeared in front of everyone by disguising himself as an agent, playing a trick of "I am my agent" under everyone's eyes. The final decisive battle seemed to be at the edge of a mine. Wait? Mine. Thinking of this, Ron punched the wall in frustration. If he had remembered it earlier, maybe Kiki would not have died. Call Hank and Arthur, let's go now. I think I know where they are. Chapter 108 Nitromethane. Do you know where they are going? Giselle, who was sitting in the passenger seat of the car, asked curiously. I've been infiltrating Barack's organization for so long, but I haven't found out where they are transporting the drugs from. 32 degrees 33 minutes north latitude, 116 degrees 49 minutes west longitude. Ron's eyes were pointing at a point on the map on the car's computer. Seeing that Giselle still looked puzzled, Ron continued to explain. Think about it, if Barack was smuggling drugs from Mexico, there are only two ways, land or water, but he is recruiting drivers, so it is impossible to go by sea, only land, but there are countless cameras and detectors on our border. All vehicles crossing the border will be discovered. If you can't get through on the ground, what about underground? Ron smiled. If I remember correctly, there is the largest abandoned mine from Mexico to the United States. Giselle's eyes lit up. That's why he needs the best drivers to deliver the goods for him, because the roads in the underground mines are complicated and hundreds of times more difficult than the most difficult tracks. No wonder he needs the best drivers. That's right. Ron picked up the walkie-talkie and ordered Hank and Arthur, from now on, turn off the car lights and all light sources, and wait for Toretto to come out. At the same time, a reconnaissance drone with a night vision camera was lifted into the sky by Ron. At the U.S.-Mexico border, an FBI helicopter roared past in the sky, but did not find anything unusual on the ground, and left in vain. The abandoned mine in the mountain flashed a bright light as if it had received a signal. A convoy of super-modified cars emerged from the mine, and the second one was Toretto's black Chevelle. Too slow, the leading black man got out of the car dissatisfiedly and patted the engine hoods of the other cars one by one. Get down quickly. Start working. The men who had been waiting here for a long time immediately unloaded one large suitcase after another from several cars. Why don't you get down? Big guy, the strong man walked back to Toretto's car dissatisfiedly. Toretto unscrewed the bottle filled with nitrous oxide, pressed the cigarette lighter and got out of the car. Nitrous oxide, an inorganic substance with a chemical formula N2O, is also called laughing gas. It is a colorless and sweet gas and a very effective olefin enhancer. Under certain conditions, it can be used with gasoline to have an effect no less than a bomb. Toretto has seen countless times in underground drag racing that people were blown up by their cars modified with N2O. Don't touch me. A driver who was driving with Toretto through the mine was dissatisfied and slapped away the hand that pushed him, but was immediately pointed at by a black man with a gun. His face turned pale instantly. Don't shoot, boss. Nitromethane. Toretto's face showed no emotion. The black man turned his head in confusion. What? I said, only pustules use nitromethane. Nitromethane, a relic from Letty's car accident. Toretto knew that Letty would never use this kind of thing, so it could only be left by the murderer, and this was also one of the clues he had been tracking. Have you checked my car? The black man let go of the poor guy who had just been scared to death, holding a pistol, and walked towards Toretto with a dangerous aura, almost sticking to his face. I'm talking to you. What do you want to do? 70 Plymouth. Toretto looked directly into the black man's eyes, did not answer his question, but said the name of a car. Her name is Letty. Someone crashed her car. Yes, I crashed it. At this time, even if the black man had a low IQ, he could see that Toretto was not a good person. Do you still remember that face? I have forgotten it, because the last time I saw her, she was still burning. Click. The black man pulled the firing pin of the pistol, and the pistol was in a state of being ready to fire at any time, with an arrogant look on his face as if everything was under control. So what? Now you are still the same as her. Your life is in my hands. I will enjoy the next moment. Toretto was not panicked, and said an inexplicable sentence without a beginning or an end. Dang! At the same time, the electric smoker in Toretto's car just popped out at the right time, and the hot temperature instantly ignited the flammable gas in the car. Boom! The car made a loud noise, and the violent flames engulfed several cars around it, and then detonated the gasoline and accelerants in other cars. Several members of the drug trafficking organization who were nearby were instantly torn into pieces, and even the black and strong man just now turned his gun in panic, looking for the non-existent enemy. The clever Toretto had already taken advantage of the gap in the explosion to roll on the spot, rolled into the car loaded with their drugs, and sat in the driving position. O'Connor saw the opportunity, rolled to a younger brother who had just fallen, picked up his submachine gun and fired at the crowd, and immediately a group of drug trafficking gang members fell. As soon as O'Connor ran out of bullets, he immediately stood up and jumped into the co-pilot seat of the car that Toretto had snatched, and the two drove away together. Now, fire. Ron, who was lying on the top of the mountain, smiled. Wait, aren't the FBI guy and your friends still in there? Do you want to wait for them? Hank, who was a little confused by the order, asked. No need to wait, right now, open fire and let these sons of bitches taste the power of the socialist iron fist. Ron excitedly pounded the ground and yelled. Arthur didn't wait for Hank to continue asking questions, and immediately pressed the launch button in the car. The multiple rocket launchers on the back seat of the pickup truck immediately dragged a long tail flame and crossed the sky with a deadly whistle, landing exactly where the drug dealers gathered. Excuse me, boss, we are a capitalist country. Arthur picked up an HK-416 rifle and got out of the car. Just as he finished speaking, the rocket over there landed. The huge explosion illuminated the night brighter than the day, and Arthur's bald head was set off incomparably cruel. This idiot, Ron gave full marks. But the weapons come from the socialist camp, Ron retorted dissatisfiedly, turning his head to look at the team in front of him. Arthur was holding an HK assault rifle, with two pistols on his waist. Hank, whose face was mostly covered by night vision goggles, was carrying an LG-5 sniper grenade launcher, and had an MP5K submachine gun slung diagonally on his body. And Giselle was only carrying a lightweight Uzi submachine gun, with an impatient expression, and a little kid holding a remote control? Ron couldn't help but feel emotional. How long has he been in Los Angeles? His own combat team is assembled. Boss, give the order. Ron's expression became serious. Okay, there is only one order, except for the black and strong man I just talked to. Everyone at the foot of the mountain will be killed without mercy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 Red Fire Ants. Toretto, what are you doing? O'Connor, who had just escaped from the artillery fire, was stunned by Toretto's operation. We just escaped from that place and can't go back. There are at least 30 people there. How many do you think are left now? The Hummer swayed on the solid wall and pointed the front of the car at the place where they just escaped. At this time, it was a sea of fire. O'Connor opened his mouth in surprise. Who did this? It's like hell, but his surprise didn't last long. Soon, the surviving members of the drug cartel found them and opened fire on them, but they were hit by something in the sky after just 2 shots. Boom! The drug cartel member was blown into a pool of mincemeat, splashing all over his companions next to him. A rib just happened to be stuck in the chest of another companion, and it was obvious that he was dead. On the top of the hill, Hank, wearing night vision goggles, exhaled softly and immediately pointed the muzzle of the gun at another crowded place. On the other side, Ron, Arthur and Giselle slid down the hillside while firing downwards, like divine soldiers descending from heaven, but they were fast, and there were people who were faster than them. A drone emitting an annoying buzzing noise fiercely pounced on the back of a scrap car. Boom! Flames flew everywhere, and countless broken limbs flew out from the back of the car. Put together, they could just form 2 people. Ron dodged behind a big rock and picked up the walkie-talkie with pain. The freckled boy in the pickup truck on the mountain felt very happy. This was much more enjoyable than torturing cats at home, not to mention that there was money to be made. Carl. Stop it. Do you know how much a drone costs? If you dare to blow me up again, you will lose all your pay tonight, Hank complained. I told you a long time ago that this job cannot recruit child laborers. Tisk dead fatpig. The freckled boy took off his VR glasses and stared at Hank lying in front of the car, and said angrily. Did you hear that, Carl? The intercom rang again, and Carl could only grimace and answer, received, boss. Then he put on his VR glasses again, and a drone larger than the one that had just blown up took off again. There was a flash of fire under the hill, and the P-90 submachine gun on the drone was clearly visible. Under Carl's control, it landed from the other side of the valley, and a long burst of fire swept down two drug dealers who were trying to escape from here. Ron had to sigh again at Howard's strong hands-on ability. He just proposed an idea, and in just 2 days, Howard installed the submachine gun on the drone. Except for the lack of an AI program that can autonomously identify enemies and friends, this attack drone is not much like the small military drone that Ron has seen in the future. It is exactly the same. Inadvertently, on the three sides of the valley, there is a sharp commando team composed of Ron, Arthur and Giselle. On the one hand, there is a combat drone under Carl's control that appears and disappears, and on the other hand, there is an interception belt established by O'Connor Toretto relying on cars. In addition, Hank, who was constantly supporting with a sniper grenade launcher on the top of the mountain, was already under the control of Ron and his gang on three sides. Ron himself only fired 3 shots from the beginning to the end, and he didn't even finish one chamber. Ron flashed out from behind the stone again, knocked down 3 drug dealers with a quick 3-shot combo, and emptied his bullets. At this time, the entire drug gang was left with only the black man who was deliberately left by Ron, kneeling in the middle, looking extremely miserable. He was shot once in the left shoulder and arm, and his entire left arm was hanging limply on his body, unable to play any role. The bullet hole on his right knee kept bleeding, and he was shot in the abdomen. If he didn't stop the bleeding, he would not live for more than 3 hours. But Toretto didn't care about these. He had already kicked him down with 1 foot, and swung his fist and hit him hard. "Hey, Toretto, don't just vent, we still have some work to do." Ron waited until Toretto had vented enough before pulling him up. The black man on the ground had been beaten so badly that his mother couldn't recognize him. Tisk, so disgusting, with this appearance, no wonder he can only do such a hopeless job. Ron was frightened by the ugly face of the black man and kicked him with his foot. "Hey, can you still talk?" But the strong man's throat could only make a wheezing sound. Seeing this, Ron used a dagger to cut open a bag of white powder in Toretto's car, grabbed a handful and stuffed it into the strong man's mouth. The effect was immediate. After a while, the strong man immediately laughed like an owl. "Ha ha ha, you dare to touch Barak's things, you all have to die." There was a sense of last gasp. It seems that their stuff is really strong. "Pa." Ron picked up the strong man's head and slapped him hard. "Boy, answer whatever I ask you now, nod your head if you understand." Without waiting for the strong man to continue to insult, Ron inserted the dagger that had just cut open the drugs into his thigh meat and stirred it. Hiss. Even though the powder had forcibly covered up most of the pain, the sturdy man still gasped in pain from his action, and finally showed a look of fear on his face. "Can you understand what I say now?" The sturdy man nodded obediently. "Did you really kill Letty?" "Kill her with your own hands?" Toretto asked the first question, and the answer he got was a shake of the head. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, Letty must still be alive. As long as she is alive, he will have a chance to see her. Where was she taken? The black man shook his head, but Ron, with a creepy smile, turned the dagger in his flesh again. "Why don't you think about it again?" The black man screamed in pain. "Hiss, I really don't know. I only know that the person who took her away is called Owen, a big shot that even Barak has to bow down to. This is Uncle Ron's good boy." Ron pulled out the dagger, and took out a plastic bag from his pocket, cut it open, grabbed the fine sand-like crystals and sprinkled them on his wound. Just when Arthur thought Ron was too kind, the drone dragged down a large jar at some point. "The last question, do you know Kiki?" Ron smiled more cordially. "Forget it, you don't have to answer. I saw the necklace you're wearing, it was the birthday gift I gave him last year." "What are you doing?" Seeing Ron holding the jar and approaching step by step, the black man finally realized that something was wrong and screamed in fear. "What?" "Of course, I'm going to return the torture you inflicted on my teacher." Ron threw the jar to the black man's legs, and the small black dots inside immediately covered the black man as if they had received an order. The black man felt pain and began to struggle violently. "What is this?" "Red fire ants. By the way, what I sprinkled on you just now happened to be their favorite white sugar." Ron stretched comfortably. "Okay, tonight's work is finally done. Now I'm going to call it a day." Guessing game. Friends who guess Carl's last name can get the naming rights for the next chapter update. Chapter 110, Beating O'Connor. There were screams of pain from behind Ron, but no one in Ron's team reacted much, including Carl, a 10-year-old child laborer. Everyone thought he deserved it. He even approached a black man bitten by the red fire ants to observe his reaction. A special pleasure rose from his heart. This is much more interesting than tossing cats and dogs. The only one who felt strongly uncomfortable was probably Detective O'Connor. Isn't this too cruel? It's not in line with the spirit of humanity. Should we bandage him first? But no one cared about his thoughts. It's not in line with the spirit of humanity. Ron almost put his face against O'Connor's face. Do you know what they did to Kiki? If you don't know, go ask old Jack. He's your FBI informant. But how can I take him back like this? O'Connor said with some embarrassment. Take him back? Ron was almost pissed off and laughed. You don't want to take him back to ask for credit, do you? Do you want me to let you take the truckload of drugs with you? If you agree, O'Connor asked in a negotiating tone. He still has an FBI account, and even old Jack only used the excuse of special case handling to temporarily bring him back for face. If he can complete Jack's order, he can definitely return to the FBI with these credits. This is a little different from the original Time and Space. After all, because of Ron's interference, he didn't have much to do with Toretto, and he didn't feel guilty for hooking up with Toretto's sister. So when Jack gave him the order to take Toretto and the drugs back, he agreed after just a moment of hesitation. No, boss, Ron didn't expect that Carl would be the first to protect the car. Do you know how much this carload of stuff can be sold for? I guarantee on the reputation of the Gallagher family that these are worth at least $30 million US. If we keep them and smoke them ourselves, we will never be able to smoke them all in our lifetime. If you are willing to let me help you sell these goods, I can introduce you to my sister, who is a very famous beauty in our area. When he said this, the face of the freckled little boy was sprinkled with a glory of money. Ron slapped him on the back of his head in annoyance. Whose child is this? His values are so distorted? You are so young and you are selling your sister for fame? I treat you as an employee, and you actually want to be my brother-in-law. Fortunately, Ron only met the second youngest member of the Gallagher family. If he could meet the others, his values would definitely shatter his jaw. Go and play somewhere else, it's none of your business. I'll give you a salary and get out of here. You are not allowed to touch this thing. By the way, Arthur, Ron shouted. This little guy is an air combat game expert that Ron met in the game community. Ron thought that people who are good at playing games must be good at playing real air combat drones, so he asked Arthur to find him according to the contact information. Unexpectedly, he is still a child. If time is not too urgent, Ron will definitely not want this kind of child labor. Next time this little guy comes to work, take him to do a urine test. If you touch drugs, you will never work for me again. Definitely not. Zio Zhangai immediately stepped aside with a bitter face. It was too uncomfortable not to touch XX, but if he lost such a job with money to spend, Ron gave him a very generous salary, and tools to stimulate game playing. It would be even more uncomfortable. God has mercy on him. He also plans to talk to the boss to see if he can bring his family to work together next time. After dealing with a little brat with a wrong outlook, Ron turned his attention to O'Connor standing next to him. O'Connor immediately tensed up uncomfortably when he was stared at by his sharp eyes. Although these things are of no use to me, why should I give them to you for nothing? You know, even you, if it weren't for me and my men taking action, would be buried in this desert today. Do you want to guess how long it will take your colleagues to find your body? O'Connor was speechless in the face of Ron's questioning. Ron's tone softened a little. I guess you want more than just this truckload of things, right? If possible, I want Toretto to go back with me. Hearing Ron's softened tone, O'Connor's eyes rekindled hope. Don't worry, I have discussed the conditions with higher-level superiors. As long as this case can be closed, they will definitely grant Toretto amnesty. Here Ron turned to Toretto. I really don't understand. How could you almost treat this kind of thing as a family member? Toretto had a gloomy face and did not speak. The credibility of the FBI is well known in the industry. He has not yet asked the FBI to settle the account for using Letty, although he didn't know that it was not O'Connor who contacted Letty, but someone else. Take your salary. Ron took out 2 Franklins from his wallet and put them in Carl's hand. Let's go home now. Wait, O'Connor thought of his future and gritted his teeth in front of Ron. We transported these things together. If you want to take them, I have to fall down. As soon as the voice fell, a fist grew bigger and bigger in O'Connor's side before he could react, and then O'Connor felt his eyes go black. Before the pain in his eyes could be transmitted to his brain, Ron hit him hard in the stomach with a lightning uppercut. Bang! The sound of hitting the flesh, and then O'Connor bent like a shrimp and retched. Yet, little Carl excitedly waved his little fist and cheered for his new boss. This was much more exciting than his brothers taking him to watch the community blackboxing. Ron's moves were swift and powerful. Compared with him, Carl's brothers' boxing skills were just like the aerobics that the dead gays in the gym took middle-aged and elderly women to do. Unknowingly, Ron became Carl's new idol. I've never heard such a cheap request in my life. Ron picked his nose. You all heard it. He asked me to beat him up. Ron felt secretly happy. He had wanted to beat O'Connor for a long time, but due to his friendship with Toretto, he had never appeared in front of Maya. Who knew that O'Connor would be like a fly, always circling around her. Today, he finally beat him up legitimately. He only had one feeling in his heart, that is, relieved. Go ask your superior Jack if he dares to talk to me like this. Ron kicked O'Connor in the stomach again and kicked him aside. The roar of helicopters in the distance gradually sounded. It turned out that O'Connor had reported his location to Jack at some point. Obviously, these were the support of the FBI. Boss, what should we do now? Carl asked nervously, putting himself in the shoes of a gangster who was eating gangsters. What else can we do? Drive and leave? Ron asked Giselle to sit in the driver's seat and lifted the cloth behind his pickup truck, revealing a row of hideous iron cylinders. Everyone has an RPG. If those FBI bastards dare to steal things, shoot them down. I'll take responsibility. Chapter 111 Sheldon Learning Chinese. My name is Sheldon. No, it should be, my first name is Sheldon. Howard gestured with his hands. Sheldon followed suit. My first name is Sheldon. When Ron returned home, the first thing he saw was such an extremely strange scene, but he did not disturb the two of them. He went directly to the refrigerator to get a bottle of ice water and drank it. Sheldon, who was studying, ignored him as if he were air. Only Howard greeted him. What is this? Howard asked about his gestures in confusion. I'm imitating you. I think in some languages, gestures are also part of the language, Sheldon said as a matter of course with his eyes wide open. Of course not, Sheldon complained. How should I know? As a teacher, I think you should eliminate your bad habits from your teaching. You know what? Howard closed the book. I am very happy that you decided to start learning Chinese. This means that once you learn it well, there will be more than 1 billion people to annoy, and I will be liberated. Believe me, it's impossible. Ron sat down in the middle of the sofa and squeezed Sheldon back to his special seat. I have lived with him for more than 10 years. I am too familiar with this feeling. Every time you think you have gotten rid of him, he is like chewing gum, stuck to the sole of your shoe, and you can't get rid of it no matter how you rub or shake it. I don't understand. Ron speaks Chinese so well, why don't you learn Chinese from Ron? Ron smiled and said nothing. When I was in college, there was a Chinese in my class, so I learned from him. I asked him how to say hello in Chinese. Guess what he taught me? Sheldon said indignantly. Howard asked curiously, what is it? Sheldon's eyes were filled with anger. He taught me, I am stupid. I chatted with that foreign student for a week before I realized that this sentence means I am stupid. Ron asked, so do you know how to say hello in Chinese now? Syphilis, donkey, Sheldon said word by word with a scary fake smile. Howard rolled his eyes. You just called Ron a donkey with syphilis. Apologize to you. Sheldon refused to admit his mistake. My Chinese level is just as good as the teacher's. Ron laughed out loud. Sheldon, I have to say that your stupid look is still funny no matter how many times I see it. Why did my dear little fool plan to learn Chinese this time? Let me guess, is it because you picked up another Chinese girl? Or did the school arrange a new assistant for you? Neither. I think the Sichuan restaurant we often go to deliberately uses orange chicken to impersonate tangerine peel chicken, so I'm going to confront him. I'm going to use his own language to make him feel ashamed. Ron shrugged. Okay, when you have practiced Chinese well and are ready to confront him, remember to call me along. It will be a very interesting scene. I plan to record it and add subtitles so that I can give Grandma a Christmas present. At this moment, Penny suddenly opened the door and rushed in. Can I borrow your windowsill, please? Leonard, who was eating a boxed lunch in the back, said. Ron then noticed that Leonard had been in the room the whole time. How low is the sense of existence of this kid? Penny opened the window and threw something out. Shameless bastard, you left your iPad. What happened? Let me tell you what happened. Penny's voice was full of anger. That narcissistic bastard wrote our sex life into his blog. Now everyone knows what position I like. At this point, Penny couldn't help but ran to the window and cursed. Go to hell, you narcissistic bastard. After that, She closed the door with a bang. Okay, where were we just now? Sheldon pushed the textbook aside and continued to study. Howard sat up. Wait a minute, hey, where are you going? Maybe I have to hurry up and find that blog before someone deletes it, Ron said helplessly. He still didn't understand. Howard had obviously tasted the sweetness of following him many times. Why did he still look so hungry? Leonard stood there awkwardly rubbing his hands. It was the first time he encountered such a thing. He didn't know what to do. Ron couldn't bear it anymore and reminded him, what are you still doing here? Your goddess is at the other end of the corridor. If I were you, I would go over to comfort her now. Don't you think now is your best chance? But I don't know what to do. Leonard paced back and forth nervously. You can try to push her down and force her. If she always licks your upper jaw with her tongue when she kisses you back, it means you have a chance, Howard, who was reading a blog with a lewd look on his face, suggested unreliably. Hey, this is not what I said. Here is an instruction manual. Do you want to learn it first? I think it's a good idea, Leonard. Your biggest problem is that you are always procrastinating. If I were you, a woman like Penny, it would take at most 3 days. Ron stood up. Leonard lowered his head and muttered unconfidently, I don't have a figure and appearance like you. What? No, it's nothing, forget it. Ron took 2 steps, and then remembered Penny's usual style, walked back, and hooked Leonard's neck, which made him feel a little bit of being bullied at school. However, Ron did not bully him in the next step, but made him feel that he had taken advantage of it. Hey, brother, do you want to change rooms with me tonight? What? Leonard raised his voice in surprise. No. I object. This is not in line with my roommate agreement, Sheldon objected loudly, but Ron didn't even look at him. Sheldon was just a younger brother, and his opinion was not important at all. Yes, I will change rooms with you. I don't want to be hugged like a koala by a woman who just broke up and urgently needs comfort, and then smear my snot and tears everywhere. Of course, Ron didn't suddenly lose interest in women. The main reasons were, first, Penny's appearance level was not up to his average dating level. Second, with Leonard as a friend, it would be a bit awkward to get along with her. Third, and most importantly, he received a text message on his way back just now, from the UK, saying that a woman he had an intimate relationship with would come tomorrow, and he planned to save some energy for the next battle. Really, Leonard was moved. Of course, my brother Ron hugged Leonard and squinted his eyes. Change rooms with me for 1 night, and only charge you $200, how about it? Isn't it a good deal? Even if you and Penny go out for a night, you will spend more than this amount, but now you can spend a night with her, Ron whispered in Leonard's ear like a devil. There is no conflict between being loyal to friends and earning back the salary paid to the little bastard today. Chapter 112 Emma Watson is tricked. Congratulations to the host for winning $200. If Ron's system was more perfect, he would have had such a prompt in his mind, but unfortunately it didn't, and he slept until dawn. As for what happened on the other side, Ron didn't know. Anyway, when Leonard returned to the apartment in the morning, he looked much weaker, disheveled, and ashamed. Hey brother, how was last night? Ron pushed the door open and saw Leonard, who was holding his shoes and trying to open the door quietly, which scared him instead. It's okay, Leonard said it was okay, but the sultry smile on the corner of his mouth still betrayed him. Ron smiled. It seems that you had a very pleasant night. How did it feel to take advantage of someone's misfortune? XX little genius. No, I definitely didn't take advantage of someone's misfortune. It was Penny who took the initiative to kiss me, Leonard said halfway and quickly covered his mouth. Wait, you won't tell Sheldon, will you? Do you think Sheldon is such a gossipy person? Will he be interested in such topics? Of course not. Leonard nodded with relief and went home, while Ron didn't even go home. He had brushed his teeth with Sheldon's spare new toothbrush, and then used a Star Wars toothbrush that Sheldon was using to clean his leather shoes. Now it was just time to go out. As for whether Sheldon could taste the taste of leather shoes from the toothbrush, that was not his concern. At the airport, the plane carrying Emma Watson, who covered her true appearance with a hat and sunglasses, finally landed. The freckled passenger sitting next to her hesitated for a long time, and finally made up his mind to push the girl next to him. Excuse me, are you Emma Watson, the actress who plays Hermione in Harry Potter? I love your movies so much, can you sign an autograph for me? You got the wrong person, I'm not Emma Watson, I just look like her, Emma said in annoyance. but the corner of her mouth still betrayed her good mood of being recognized, but she still said proudly, "I think, even if Emma Watson really comes, she probably doesn't want to be disturbed casually. Everyone's privacy should be respected, right?" She said this, but she was extremely proud in her heart. She really wanted to show this scene to the big guy in Los Angeles to see how charming she is. If some people don't cherish it, she will be snatched away by fans soon, but basically, those who watch her movies are all Atticus, and no one can compare with Ron, including the fan who sat in the first class with her. Her skin showed a paleness that had not seen the sun for a long time, and she looked like a nerd who stayed in the laboratory all day. "No, you are definitely one," the little Otaku muttered in a low voice, but he didn't pester her anymore. He seemed to want to say something to chat up, but at this moment, the landing prompt sounded on the plane. Emma pointed to the broadcast with a businesslike smile, and politely refused before he opened his mouth. The plane landed smoothly on the ground. Just as Emma was about to get off the plane under the guidance of the flight attendant, the plane broadcast sounded again. "Attention, passengers, please take your seats now. There is something special happening on this flight. There are terrorists on this flight. The local police will check all passengers soon. Please cooperate." Terrorists? Emma's heart jumped, and she looked around nervously. But she couldn't help but relax a little when she thought that this was the first-class cabin. Terrorists shouldn't sit in the first-class cabin, right? It would be great if Ron was here at this time. But just when she relaxed her vigilance, the door of the first-class cabin was opened, and a burly policeman walked towards her seat. He looked like a regular gym-goer. His arm was thicker than Emma's waist. If he hit her, she would definitely die. Oh my God. Could her friend be the terrorist? Emma was very nervous. She quietly distanced herself from him. If there was no place on the plane, she would have wanted to run away. The policeman came closer and closer, but she didn't expect that when he came to her seat, he ignored the Otaku sitting next to him, but suddenly held her down and pinned one of her arms behind her. "You're under arrest, you damn bastard." "Ah. It hurts so much." Emma almost cried because of the pain. She had never been treated so roughly before. "Get out of here, damn policeman, I'm a big star. Believe it or not, I'll report you." At this time, the Otaku who had just been rejected did not forget to stab him in the back and said in astonishment, "Didn't you just say that you are not, but just look a bit like me?" The police stretched out his rough palm and took off Emma's sunglasses. "How about it? Do you believe I'm a big star now? Let me go, or I will report you to the point of losing everything." Emma struggled wildly, but couldn't get away. However, even though she revealed her identity, she still didn't get the treatment commensurate with her identity. The police stared at her face with disgust. "It really looks like her, but it's a pity that it's fake. If we hadn't received a report, we would have been fooled by you. We just received a report that a terrorist had plastic surgery to look like the star Emma Watson and flew to Los Angeles, planning to blow up Hollywood, but there was a traitor in your organization who took the initiative to surrender to the police. What do you think? Did it expect it? Asshole." "What?" Emma opened her mouth in surprise. "I really am Emma Watson. I can call the director here to prove it to me. I also want to dub the movie Romantic Mouse." "Romantic Mouse?" The police sneered disdainfully. "I haven't even heard of this movie. We have a lot of mice in our prison. As for whether it is romantic or not, I don't know. Maybe you can try to have a love affair with them, Miss Terrorist. But before that, you can first confess the accomplice who is the director in your organization. We don't have that much patience to waste time with you." Emma jumped twice in the police's hands in anger, but it still didn't work. She was carried off the plane like a chicken, and she could only carry Ron out helplessly. "Big guy, listen, I know someone from your IRS. His name is Ron. If you don't believe me, let me call him Ron." The big policeman was obviously of a high rank, and he had heard of Ron's name. "Do you know Ron?" "Yes. That's right, Ron Lee Cooper. He's my friend." Being able to call out Ron's name accurately, it didn't seem like a lie. The big policeman hesitated a little, handed Emma to his men, took out his cell phone and dialed. "Hello, is that Ron? I'm Hobbs. There's a suspect here who had plastic surgery to look like a female star. Do you know her?" Chapter 113 Los Angeles. Hobbs? Ron was a little surprised when he got through the phone. This was the ace agent of the FBI. Because of stealing credit, he had always had some conflicts with him. Their relationship was not very good. Generally, they almost never contacted each other except when they were working together on a case. "You said you had plastic surgery. How could I know him? Ron leaned on the car and said unhappily, who did you become? Otherwise, you can secretly take him to a place where no one is around and check him carefully. I promise I will never expose you. Although he said this, Ron made up his mind that after hanging up the phone, he would definitely call the FBI to complain. No matter whether he did it or not, it would definitely be enough to make him suffer. As competitors, the two of them often tripped each other up. This was just a routine operation. It seems to be a little star named Emma Watson. Hobbs looked at Emma's face and said uncertainly. But he immediately added, it's the one about a group of kids poking each other with sticks. My daughter loves watching it and asked me to get her autographs if I have the chance. Damn, I forgot the name of the movie. Owen, what was the name of that movie? Hobbs asked his subordinates for help. The Lord of the Rings. No, I remember The Lord of the Rings. It was about an old man who was very good at fighting and a group of dwarfs. There were no female characters in it. Another unreliable subordinate. Could it be The Wizard of Oz? I remember there was magic in that movie. Harry Potter. Ron felt something was wrong and asked tentatively to interrupt their discussion. Yes, that's the name. Hobbs, where are you now? Are you in Los Angeles? Ron's feeling of uncertainty became stronger and stronger. Ha ha ha, Hobbs laughed proudly. Of course, old Jack is old, he will retire soon. I am here to replace him. I heard you are in Los Angeles. I took the initiative to apply. I have said long ago, don't think of getting rid of me, you idiot with strong limbs. You are in trouble. Ron stroked his forehead. You caught that female star? What? How is it possible? Hobbs said in disbelief. We clearly got the intelligence from the special communication of the undercover of Al-Qaeda, and even their entire plan to blow up Hollywood. I guess your source of intelligence must be the news sent to you through the internet, right? In fact, I am also at the airport now, and I am here to pick her up today. Ron asked speechlessly. Emma must have been tricked by someone. As for who did it, is there any need to ask? It must be Peggy. How do you know? But if it is not a terrorist attack, who would do such a thing? What is his purpose? Maybe he is just bored. Ron rolled his eyes at the sky. He couldn't tell you that it was my women who were jealous, right? The whole story was instantly deduced in Ron's mind. Peggy was so angry when she found out the message Emma had sent her that she stole the FBI's undercover account in Al-Qaeda and sent them a piece of false information. There is no doubt that Peggy is the absolute queen in places with the internet. The purpose was to play a trick on Emma, and now it seems that the prank was very successful. I told you a long time ago, big guy. Emma kicked Hobbs' calf with her leg wearing small leather shoes, but the calf was so strong that her toes were gritting their teeth in pain. Let me go. Hobbs blankly signaled his men to let go. Emma rubbed her red wrist and glared at the FBI agents who were surrounding her. I'm really sorry, Mom. Hobbs, as the boss of all, touched his big bald head awkwardly and apologized. I didn't know you were really not a terrorist. We may have received false information. Who is your boss? I will definitely complain to your FBI. Hobbs was quite experienced in dealing with complaints. He immediately took out a notebook and made a record. Okay, I am the boss. You can complain to me now. Humph. Emma was annoyed by his attitude. She immediately turned her head and planned to stay away from this violent guy. Wait, Emma turned around. What else, officer? Do you want to arrest me? No, you haven't picked up your luggage yet. Do you need me to take you and your luggage to the door? Hobbs held Emma's pink suitcase in a friendly manner and opened the door of the Hummer with one hand as an invitation. Humph. Emma looked at the road from the airport to the exit and got in the car angrily. At the airport gate, Ron saw Emma and Hobbs, who was embarrassed. On the way out, he had verified with the intelligence source that the information about terrorists on the plane was indeed false. You may not believe it, but the FBI undercover actually used code words to communicate on Twitter. No wonder Peggy hacked his account. A code word was no small matter to Peggy. It was estimated that Peggy had been eyeing this account for a long time. Ron, Hobbs greeted him innocently. Huh? Emma, who was at the other door, didn't want to stay in their car any longer. She dragged her luggage and got into Ron's car and slammed the door. Hobbs stretched out his hand awkwardly. Excuse me, welcome to Los Angeles. Ron didn't shake his hand, but high-fived him. Welcome is just an official statement. In fact, you know, I don't welcome you at all. Can I ask you to go back to where you came from? Of course not. Hobbs took the opportunity of high-fiving to grab Ron's hand and shook it hard, but unfortunately he didn't gain any advantage in terms of strength. How do you say that Chinese word? Haunting? Yes, it's haunting. One day I will beat you. Ron pulled his hand back and wiped it with a wet wipe from the car in disgust. You weren't transferred here for such a boring reason, were you? No. Hobbs's eyes became sharp again when he talked about business. Barack's case is very embarrassing for the higher-ups. Old Jack should retire, and I can catch him in a week at most. At this point, an astonishing momentum rose from Hobbs. Ron noticed that Hobbs' entire action team was in the convoy. This guy is indeed a man of action. Friendly reminder, Barack has now fled to Mexico. I wish you good luck. When did it happen? Hobbs's intelligence was obviously a little delayed, and he was shocked. Just yesterday, when my men and I seized all his drugs. Ron showed a mischievous look on his face, just like the funny expression in the chat tool. The exchange of fire was very fierce, and Barack's men even carried RPG rocket launchers, but fortunately my men were not injured. How is your FBI? No one was injured? I saw a rocket seem to be heading towards your helicopter. Chapter 114 Breakup. I can't believe you're still staring at that. Now many people choose to continue breastfeeding until their children are older. This is called intimate parenting. Caroline was speechless to her ignorant colleagues. Ever since the guest who brought his older child to dinner came in, or to be more precise, the child who was about the same height as Lee Han got into his mother's clothes and started eating. A group of people gathered together and stared at the mother and child as if they had nothing to watch. Max chewed his gum and complained the most fatally, the child is so old, it should be called intimate dating, right? And he always has to stick his head out to breathe, right? No need. Oleg looked envious. He has been past the age of drinking milk for a long time, right? That child is almost as tall as me, Lee Han said while turning to Max, but because of the height, his eyes could only stare at indescribable places. Lee Han raised his head and blinked cutely. Don't even think about it, X2. One voice came from Max, and the other came from Ron, who was holding Emma, who was wrapped tightly. Ron, Caroline and Max exclaimed in surprise. They hadn't seen Ron for several days since the last dance. They only chatted through text messages. Ron let go of Emma and waved to the two beautiful waiters. Hi my beauties, this kind of thing finally happened. I have lived long enough. Earl shook his head while holding the hot water. No, in my opinion, you are still charming. Ron patted his shoulder. Can I know which beauty will be served by me today? Waiter, I want to order. The mother who was feeding raised her hand at the same time. Go to my section. Caroline took the menu before Max could speak, and led Ron and Emma to sit in her section. I don't want to go. Although I can respect this practice, I still feel sick. Ron, is this your new friend? Yes, this is Emma. I can introduce you to her later. When Ron spoke, his hand was pinched. Ron could clearly sense Emma's rejection. Emma didn't want to eat in such a dirty little restaurant, but he didn't care. He still forced Emma to sit down and order food. After Caroline left, Emma immediately complained dissatisfiedly, damn it, I thought you would take me to a better place to eat, but I didn't expect you to bring me to this place. You said you wanted to see the environment where I work and meet my other lovers. Now you have seen them. Ron shrugged. He was already beginning to be a little dissatisfied with Emma's endless complaints. From the misunderstanding yesterday to now, he had heard Emma's complaints countless times. Even when Emma rushed over to him enthusiastically last night, he just gave her a light kiss and pushed her away. If you are really so dissatisfied with the United States, why don't you stay in London? Why do you have to come? Which one are you talking about? The one with black hair and big breasts? Or the one with blonde hair and long legs? If it were me, I would choose the blonde one. At least she seems to know some manners, but she is still far behind my friends in the London social circle, Emma commented on the two sisters carelessly. Ron felt that Emma was becoming less and less cute. He really didn't know why he had provoked this great gout back then. Maybe it was because it was more exciting to have sex with Hermione in Hogwarts uniform? Sure enough, it was the impression of the movie that was causing the trouble. If the real Emma could be half as cute as Hermione in the movie, Ron would not even want to break up. All of them. Ron showed a mischievous smile. Yes, that's right, this is what my life is like. Besides, the waitress who you just thought was not as good as the London social circle was someone that your friends couldn't afford even in London before. How is it possible? Emma didn't believe it. How could someone with such a noble background work in a restaurant like this? Believe it or not, her father just happened to be unlucky and went bankrupt. Ron didn't say anything, but at this moment he noticed a newspaper dropped by someone on the table, and he picked it up and put it in front of Emma. Look, there's an auction of her family's property today. Emma saw the title and exclaimed in disbelief, "Oh my God, you said she is Caroline Channing." "Of course," Ron nodded. He thought Emma would express her apology for the rude comment just now, but Emma said, "Can you take me to the auction of her family's property today? This auction has been promoted in London for a long time, and I have several things I want to buy." Emma's fanatical look reminded him of the sharks he had seen in the movies. When a shark was injured, the other sharks did not help it, but rushed over because of the smell of blood and ate their companions. Such a woman made him feel a little disgusted. No matter how humble Max was, she never took advantage of others' misfortunes. Even Megan Fox, who was also in the entertainment industry, was a very loyal woman. Sure enough, Peggy and Megan had a reason to dislike Emma, which further strengthened his idea of breaking up. "No, I won't take you there. I will never show up at the auction of my friend's property. It will make her sad. If you are interested, you can go by yourself, but I will definitely not be the one accompanying you, Ron." Emma scolded in a low voice with some annoyance. "Are you going to blame me for a poor rich girl?" "No, no, no." Ron shook his head. "In my eyes, I never use property to measure the value of friends. This makes me feel like they are valuable stocks. Does making friends with someone make me noble? No, and I won't use princes or princesses to hype myself up and make myself look more noble, Ron." Ron's words made Emma feel deeply insulted. Her whole face almost flushed. "Do you know what you are talking about?" "Of course I know." Ron shrugged lightly. His original intention of bringing Emma to the store today was to let her use her fame to help the sisters' small cake business, but looking at her current attitude, there should be no hope. Ron didn't mind saying it more decisively. "Okay, I know, we're done, right? Don't worry, you can leave now, no one will try to stop you, Ron. I hate you the most." Emma picked up a glass of water and splashed it on Ron's face. Unfortunately, the water was blocked by Ron's napkin in advance. Emma stomped her feet and turned away angrily. Chapter 115. Another Hobbs. Ron stood up and glared at the curious onlookers fiercely. "What are you looking at? Have you never seen a breakup?" The pressure of killing people was pressed from Ron to everyone, and everyone immediately continued to eat quietly like quails. "Hey, as a veteran in the love field, it would be a pity to dump such an important girl without playing with her once." Earl patted Ron's shoulder gently. "No, for such a woman, it's better to leave early." Ron held a different opinion. "I just want to know if you can refund the money for the uneaten food in your restaurant. I promise that the girl just now didn't touch it." "Of course, I will pay for the drink she used to splash me." "Of course not, but you can use this food to treat your black brother. He will definitely not mind the charity from the white slave owner." Earl took the food that Emma had not touched and went back to the cashier to eat it happily. Ron couldn't help but smile. It was more pleasant to get along with such a simple and fast person. Ron was just about to have a good meal when the door of the restaurant was pushed open again. Ron thought Emma was back again, but when he turned around, he found that it was not her, but another acquaintance. The big guy he had just met, Hobbs. Ron reluctantly put down his food and stood up to greet him. "Hobbs, if you have anything to say, you can just tell me. Even if you want to fight about the helicopter, we can make an appointment. Can you please stop following me? I don't understand what you are saying at all," Hobbs said as if he didn't know him at all. "I'm not following you, and my name is not Hobbs. My name is Bob Stone, and I have an appointment here." "Bob Stone?" Ron laughed. "Why don't you call yourself Dwayne Johnson?" "No, I'm really Bob." Hobbs looked around over Ron's body and immediately locked his eyes on a small black man at the table behind the woman who continued to breastfeed her child. The small man stared at Caroline's hips intently, not noticing the anxious atmosphere here at all. Hobbs pushed Ron away, walked to the back quietly, and slapped him hard like a mischievous child. "Kevin." The black boy was frightened and jumped up exaggeratedly and made a martial arts move. "Damn it. Who are you? Do I know you?" Ron crossed his arms and waited to see how Hobbs would end. "Kevin, it's me, Bob." Hobbs pressed down the black boy's waving hands. "Sorry, do I know you?" The black boy was confused. Hobbs gestured the shape of a fat man. "Bob Stone, we are high school classmates. Are you kidding me?" The black boy Kevin was shocked. "You are Bob? Oh my God. Look at you. You have lost at least 200 pounds? And then you become a muscular man. My God. Oh my God." Kevin used 3 "oh my God" in a row. Ron was suspicious. The two people didn't look like they were pretending, especially the black boy. Did he really make a mistake? Absolutely impossible. Ron immediately denied this idea. The tough temperament of Hobbs could never be faked by ordinary people. It was a temperament that could only be possessed after many life and death battles. Peggy, help me check Hobbs' high school. It's the Hobbs who used to partner with me. Ron sent a message with his special mobile phone and got a reply immediately. Peggy sent a photo of a fat man that Ron didn't know, and it was also accompanied by a text description. Luke Hobbs, formerly known as Bob Stone, changed his name after his mother remarried. He attended Central High School in Parker County, Wyoming. He was a fat man weighing more than 300 pounds in high school. By the way, you did a good job just now. Ron looked at the photos uploaded by his mobile phone, and compared them with Hobbs, who was drinking and chatting with his old classmates. The difference was too big, wasn't it? I really don't know how he lost weight. Ron couldn't help but smile. This photo is definitely a dark history, right? But at this time, Ron also noticed something special. Although Hobbs, or Bob now, looked harmless and chatted with friends, his muscles did not relax. Instead, he was in a state of tension that could erupt at any time. Ron was sure that at this time, as long as there was any slight movement, he could immediately react as quickly as possible. As sharp as Ron was, he immediately smelled the smell of a big case. The FBI must have something interesting and big. Sorry man, I'm really shocked. You used to be Fat Bob. Kevin pinched Hobbs' muscles in a gay way. Look at you, you've been completely transformed. Now you look like a strong man. What did you do? Ha. I really didn't do anything, Hobbs said modestly. Yes, he really didn't do anything. Ron moved a stool and sat between the two of them. He just did one thing, that is, he exercised for 6 hours every day for the past 20 years, without interruption. Right? Should I call you Bob now, or Hobbs? Or Dwayne Johnson? You're really at a loss if you don't act in a movie. I was almost fooled by you. Ron put the phone in front of Hobbs' face with a smile on his face. Kevin opened his mouth in confusion, and Hobbs' mouth twitched when he saw the phone, but he immediately recovered and patted the short black man. This guy seems to have something to tell me. Let's go out for a while and be back soon. No problem. Hobbs pulled Ron out the door. Hey. What are you doing? Nothing. I just want to know what tricks you're playing. If it's fun, can I be counted in? Hobbs shook his head. No, never. This is a top secret mission. Ron was more interested now, and took out the photo of the fat version of Hobbs being thrown in naked into the stadium and swiped it in front of him. Are you sure you can't add another person temporarily? Well, if you don't want to, forget it. Maybe I can send this photo to Ellie later and tell her that this is what her father looked like in high school. Now she will definitely know who she inherited, her physique that makes her gain weight as soon as she eats. By the way, this FBI agent who looks extremely fierce is actually a daughter control freak in private. No. Absolutely, Ron's trick was indeed very effective. Hobbs sighed. Okay, you count as one, but you have to cooperate with me later and get my classmate drunk. He is an important step in my plan. So, your plan is to get your high school male classmate drunk and then stab him in the ass? You can obviously use force, but believe me, with his weak physique, he can't resist you at all. Get out, Hobbs said angrily. I just need an absolute outsider to cooperate with me to complete the plan. Our FBI has been infiltrated like a sieve. There must be a mole among those subordinates. The guess monster is here again. Can anyone guess which movie it is? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Restaurant Fight. Are you really not going to do anything to your old classmate? Although I don't understand the beauty of black people, don't you think that your little black guy looks really handsome? Ron pursed his lips. I guess when you do that to him, even if he is sober, he will pretend to be drunk and endure it silently. Are you sure you don't want to try it? Damn it. I say it again, I am definitely not gay. Hobbs was a little annoyed. Really? I don't believe it. Ron smiled like Luyu, just based on the unicorn t-shirt you are wearing? It looks really straight and unconvincing. To be honest, are you sure you are not wearing Ellie's t-shirt? No, this is my clothes. Hobbs' tone was a little helpless. Well, I want to know, if you need help, why don't you find me, or Barney and others? But, Ron was unable to describe it for a moment, because he just saw a few big guys pushing Kevin. But you chose such a weakling? Are you sure it's not because of your unique taste? Listen, I chose him only because my best classmate happens to be a very outstanding accountant, and he can help me find some useful evidence. Hobbs defended his friend, and he has great potential. You may not know that he had a nickname in high school, called the Golden Jet. I also had a classmate with this nickname in high school, but the reason he was called that was that once in a physical education class, his pants burst when he farted, and a huge amount of mist containing an unknown yellow substance sprayed out. No. I swear he's definitely not like that. Okay, I'll just pretend it's not true. Ron waved his hand indifferently, and pointed his mouth towards the restaurant, but I advise you to go back quickly. Your Golden Jet is about to be beaten into fried chicken. They saw that a group of guys with muscles not much different from Hobbs came to their seats and were pushing Kevin around like a toy. Hey. See this coat? Someone is sitting here. Seeing the big guy trying to sit down, Kevin protected the seat next to him. No one is here. I can sit wherever I want, Kevin immediately said. Why are you so barbaric? Someone is sitting here, my friend. He will be back soon. Boy, do you really want to cause trouble? The big guy glared at him unkindly. At this time, Caroline also noticed the abnormality here. When she was about to step forward to stop the conflict, Ron stopped her with a gesture. If you really want to continue, there is only one way to go. That is to get out of the intensive care unit. Bro, sorry, Ron, that's my suitor, a gangster around here. I have nothing to do with him. Let them leave now. Caroline rolled her eyes helplessly and explained to Ron next to her. It's okay. Doesn't it show that your charm is unmatched if there are suitors chasing after you? Ron kissed her gently on the face. Don't worry about anything. The big guy will take care of everything. Caroline and Ron looked at the conflict over there together, a little worried. No, I'm just afraid that they will break things. This is the third time this month. It's okay. If there's really a loss, let Lehan make a list for me. My big guy will pay for the loss in the store. Ron agreed and decided in his heart that no matter how much money Lehan gave him on the list, he would definitely pay double to Hobbs. Forget it, let's change tables. Kevin compared the muscles of his classmate and the big guy opposite, and decisively chose to continue to admit his weakness. That's right, listen to the advice of your sissy friend. Those muscles trained in the gym can't scare anyone, the big man opposite sneered proudly, and at the same time did not forget to throw a wink to Caroline. When he saw Ron kissing Caroline, his expression suddenly felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten a fly. Hey, that sissy over there. Yes, I'm talking about you. If you dare to touch my girl again, I will send you and that black guy to the intensive care unit. Huh? Ron scratched his ear in disbelief. Are you sure that a little weakling like you is going to provoke the three of us? Even if we look at it, we can tell that it will be you who will go to the intensive care unit. You want to send my brother to the intensive care unit? A group of people rushed in at the door. The fat man in the lead patted his bulging waist viciously. If you crawl out of here now, I can spare your lives. Of course, these two girls have to stay. As he said that, the fat white man blew a kiss to Max in disgust. Well, Ron knew that this was Max's suitor without Caroline telling him. Ron covered his face. These two girls were really a nuisance. Little did he know that this action attracted further ridicule from the gangsters. Haha, weak white man, are you going to cry? Go home to your mother quickly. Haha, hey, guys, the situation is a little out of control now, but I have a solution. Kevin came out self-righteously to smooth things over. I ordered some nachos and 2 burgers, and now they are all yours. I only have one request, let me and my friends go together. Halfway through his words, his mouth was covered by Hobbs and pulled back. At this time, Ron just rushed over from behind and kicked the big guy who started the trouble in the first place in the stomach. Bang! The big guy was kicked by Ron and flew backwards. His head hit the wall hard and he fainted. The fat man, who was fearless at first, reached for his gun reflexively, but when he was halfway there, he was kicked in the crotch by Ron, who was still going strong, and fell down. 2 of the 4 men fell down instantly. The other 2 big men on the left and right saw that the situation was not good, looked at each other, and based on their experience of fighting together, they rushed towards Ron from both sides at the same time. Max and Caroline were so scared that their faces turned pale, and they hugged each other and shouted, "Be careful." Hobbs still stood aside with an expression of watching the show, not worried about Ron at all, and even pushed down a chair that Kevin was going to help pick up. Sure enough, everything went as he expected. When the fists on the left and right sides hit Ron almost at the same time, he did not retreat but took a big step forward diagonally in front of the big man on the right. He grabbed his fist and tripped, and the big man was thrown into the air. This was not the end. Ron continued to twist his arm in the air, and his other foot staggered backwards. With a flexibility that was totally inconsistent with his huge body, he turned himself around and turned to face the big man on the left. He pulled the big man who was tripped and flew into the air from behind and slammed him forward like a sack. Bang! Ron actually used one of them as a weapon to knock the other to the ground. Over-the-shoulder throw. Chapter 117 Black Badger. Clap, clap, clap. Hobbs came out from the side, clapping his hands. Fortunately, I've been busy recently and haven't had time to look for you. You've improved again. No, I've always been like this, but you've regressed. Family and children are making your gun dull. Believe me, marriage really makes people become more and more dull. Ron waved to the two beautiful girls and others who were watching like a star accepting cheers. Just when he was extremely proud, his cell phone vibrated. After reading the text message, Ron's face changed. I really hope your Christian mother in Texas can hear what you just said. Hobbs couldn't help but complain. When I return to Texas, I will become that devout Christian again. Ron patted Kevin on the shoulder. Your name is Kevin, right? Can I borrow your friend to chat with you? I promised to send him back right away. Of course. Ron pulled Hobbs to the kitchen cold storage. You must tell me, what happened? What's wrong? Hobbs pretended to be relaxed and was about to pat Ron, but he slapped his hand away, took out his mobile phone and stretched it in front of him. This is the text message I just received. Agent Hobbs, you are wanted now. The text message Ron just received clearly stated, after verification, Agent Luke Hobbs, who was formerly affiliated with the FBI, killed his companions and committed treason. All agents who find him are requested to immediately begin arresting him. I have no way to explain this. I'll put it simply. It's Black Badger. It's a code name. I don't know who he is. He stole the CIA's secret key. My partner Phil and I followed him to a penthouse in Kiev. He knew we were coming, so he set a trap. Phil died in the elevator. Now everyone thinks I'm Black Badger. Sure enough, it's those idiots from the CIA again. Ron spread his hands helplessly. Sometimes I really doubt what's the use of those guys who can only sell drugs, embezzle and flatter. Do you believe it? I can lead my newly formed special operations team to break into their offices in the Pentagon? Believe it? Why not? You are right. Even the finances of intelligence agencies under the military must be transparent. Otherwise who knows how many more crappy things they can do, like the last time they spent more than $40 million to transport Italian goats to Afghanistan. Ron nodded in agreement. Okay, take good care of your little brother. Remember that I haven't seen you today. Of course, I have to go back now to avoid suspicion. What I can guarantee is that my people will never bother you. You just need to deal with your own FBI people and the idiots of the CIA. I need to do some investigation to determine whether you are telling me the truth. If you are not lying to me, then I will join your action at noon tomorrow. Yes, Hobbs couldn't help but cheer. He originally thought that as long as Ron didn't participate in Jin's pursuit of him, it would be fine. After all, he had worked with Ron before, and he knew Ron's strength very well. If Ron really participated in Jin's pursuit of him, Hobbs would definitely have a headache. This guy has average tracking ability, but he is very good at fighting and firearms. He is even called a human arsenal in the intelligence circle. That's right. Arsenal. Thinking of Ron's nickname, Hobbs suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. By the way, if you join, there is a small condition that you can agree to. What? Ron walked to the door and turned back. You know, the main opponent of this operation is the CIA. Yes, I know. Ron nodded in confusion. So, can you please change to non-lethal equipment? You know the things you usually use are always. Hobbs swallowed hard. All was a bit too powerful. After all, even if I succeed in proving that I was wronged, it would not be good if too many people died on the CIA side in the end. That makes sense. Ron held up his smooth chin to agree, but there are so many people in the CIA who eat and die. It seems that there is nothing wrong with a few deaths. Don't worry, as long as it is not discovered that I did it, it's fine. Not discovered? Now all the barrels are programmed, and by analyzing the trajectory, you can find out whose gun fired. How can you not be discovered? That's true. Ron was a little distressed and could only continue to think along Hobbs's line of thought. Not too many people can die? This request is a bit difficult for Ron. Since his debut, He has killed people every time and blood has flowed like a river. If you don't want to kill people, you can't use rubber bullets all the time, right? That thing is okay for ordinary people, but for professionally trained agents, it is basically no different from a child's toy. Not to mention Hobbs's physique. Even if Ron himself was hit by a few bullets, he would not feel any pressure. Moreover, with only guns, without the support of heavy firepower, Ron always felt a sense of insecurity. Just as he was thinking, Ron's eyes happened to sweep across the fire extinguisher in the corner, and suddenly an idea flashed. Don't worry about it, I have my own way. Ron smiled mysteriously, confident, but Hobbs had a bad premonition. Would this guy kill CIA people? Hobbs suddenly felt that letting Ron participate in this mission was the stupidest decision. After saying goodbye to Max and Caroline, Ron called Orlov as soon as he walked out of the restaurant. Orlov, private arms dealer, is at your service. What do you want to get this time? Ron said without further ado. Yuri, can you help me get some more stuff from China? Of course, your choice is very correct. Among the arms I handle, there is no better quality and cheaper product than those from the Soviet Union and China. What do you want this time, my friend? Recoilless gun? Type 51 rocket launcher. If it's the latter, I'm having a discount promotion. A damn African chief wants to buy on credit. Even if I leave it in the warehouse to rust, I will not agree to this kind of transaction. Get me a batch of Type 51 rocket launchers, Ron shouted excitedly, but when he thought that they didn't seem to be needed in this operation, his interest immediately halved. Forget it, you can get me some of this stuff next time. This time I want something different first. Different things? What exactly do you mean? For example, I heard that China has an RPG for firefighting. Can you get me a few of them? Oh, and there are also firefighting rockets that can be stuffed into my Type 63 rocket launcher. Orlov was confused by Ron's order. Are you going to quit your job as an agent and start working as a firefighter? But why do the names of these things sound so much like munitions? Are you sure they really exist? Of course, Ron said loudly, although they sound like munitions, I guarantee that they are all used for firefighting. By the way, if you can deliver them to me before noon tomorrow, help me get a batch of steel pipes and gas tanks from the market. I want the gas tanks from Jiangsu Mineral and the steel pipes from Shandong Liang. The specifications are. Chapter 118 New Arms Business. Orlov was worthy of being called the King of War. No matter how unpopular or even incredible Ron's request was, everything was delivered to the warehouse below his office the next morning. Thanks to Doreto's master craftsman skills and some creative videos of the Sharia gorillas he had seen in his previous life, Ron was able to complete all the modifications of the civilian to military conversion by himself. A remote-controlled tarpaulin cover was added to the back of another Ford pickup truck, and under the tarpaulin, 4 Chinese steel pipes welded together were filled with 4 gas tanks that had been completely changed. After the round warhead was filled with the existing gas, a booster filled with fertilizer and sugar was welded to the butt, plus the cheapest grenade on the market as a fuse. The specific content will not be described in detail here. Please do not buy do-it-yourself. The most cost-effective Middle Eastern guerrilla weapon on the modern battlefield was completed, and Orlov, who was standing next to him, was so excited that he couldn't help but applaud loudly. Oh my God. Ron, you are the most amazing person I have ever met. Do you know what you used to make this? Orlov didn't know how to classify this weapon for a moment, but Ron reminded him immediately. Rocket launcher? Yes, this is a rocket launcher. Yes, it's the rocket launcher you made. Do you know how scary its material cost is? It's less than $50 per rocket. And the most unbelievable thing is that its most expensive cost is the shell. But even so, the cost of a single rocket is less than $40. Do you know what this means? This batch of steel pipes and gas cylinders was urgently called by Orlov after he received the call. Because Ron needed them too urgently, there was no time to buy them from China. The steel pipes came from various construction sites in Los Angeles, and the gas tanks came from Chinese restaurants in Chinatown. After finally getting these materials, Orlov couldn't help his curiosity and drove them over in person. He wanted to confirm what his old customer was going to do with these things. What does it mean? Ron answered absent-mindedly. It means that I can't sell my arms, Orlov said depressedly. Damn it, I should kill you now. Otherwise, after I have these things, only fools will continue to buy arms from me. Come on, Ron curled his lips. These are just some cheap civilian to military transformations. Compared with real arms, The power and accuracy are not a little bit worse. They can be blown up by real weapons in a minute. There is nothing left. The only advantage is probably that it is cheap. If you have to add another advantage, it is that it is easier to hide and difficult to trace afterwards. Orlov still didn't feel happy because of Ron's words. No, you are wrong, just that cheapness is enough. Who do you think the customers who buy arms from me are? Basically, they are small warlords in Africa. Big arms buyers like India, who are stupid and rich, will only connect with the Ministry of Defense. The money is earned by the big men in Congress. How can I get a share? Not that bad, why not? Orlov rolled his eyes in annoyance and continued to complain. You know what? Most of them can't even afford the cheapest arms, then why are you still doing their business? You can't be doing charity in Africa, right? Of course I will. Although they won't give me US dollars. Thank God there are diamond mines everywhere in that remote area of Africa. Usually those warlords will use these to settle accounts with me, and then I will take the diamonds to DBS to exchange for US dollars. Otherwise, I guess they will only trade with me with the livestock in the fields and the women kidnapped from Asia. God knows what use I will have if I accept these, or would you consider selling some steel pipes and gas tanks specifically to Africa? Hearing this, Ron's eyes rolled and he thought of a good idea to make a fortune. I am willing to teach you these modification techniques, and by the way, I will give you a call at the smuggling port, which is considered a technology investment. You can sell these things in large quantities there. These things have nothing to do with arms, and they can just help you get rid of the investigation of Interpol. You can even let your cargo ship deliver them from the regular port openly. OMG. I have to say OMG. Ron, you are really a genius. Fortunately, your profession is an agent. If you also become an arms dealer, I will be unemployed and go home in a minute. Orlov was reminded by Ron, and his eyes lit up again. He immediately smelled a new business opportunity. As he said, his arms business is not as good as everyone thinks. The warlords buy most of the old firearms that were eliminated by the Soviet Union in the last century. After deducting the kickbacks to the military and the freight, it is purely hard-earned money. The warlords certainly need heavy firearms, but when they ask about the price, they can only shake their heads. At most, they purchase a batch of individual rocket launchers as a supplement to heavy firepower. As for the low-priced weapons that Ron made, which can be used in a centralized manner and cover a certain area with large-scale firepower, it is even more out of reach. No, it's nothing. The technology here is not worth mentioning at all. You can find a technician to do it. What I can provide you is just a layer of protection. At this point, Ron's eyes suddenly became sharp. Of course, everything is based on the premise that you pay taxes legally. Do you understand? Orlov, of course I understand. I don't want to anger the adult behind you. Orlov shrugged helplessly, but was immediately deluded by the joy of the new business opportunity. Why don't we find a place to have a drink now? By the way, what is the tax rate of these industrial goods? Ron looked up at the clock hanging on the wall and shook his head. Thank you very much for your suggestion, but I'm afraid it won't work today. As you can see, I still have some work to do, and I can't leave my real identity. Damn it, you won't drag me into some inexplicable incident again. Orlov felt a little bad, because all of Ron's equipment was obtained by him. Ha, of course not. Ron used a smile to cover up his embarrassment, but his smile was not sincere at all, which only made Orlov feel cold all over. But if you are not busy recently, I suggest you take the next flight and fly to a place that is not affected by the CIA. For example, China is a good place. You can also go to the manufacturer to see if you can get a discount for large-scale purchases. Damn it. You actually plan to use the things I sell you to deal with the CIA. Orlov's eyes widened. I take back what I said just now. Ron, you are really a complete scumbag. Chapter 119 Saving Private Hobbs. Not long after Orlov left angrily, Ron, who received a CIA action signal from Peggy, also drove out alone in a modified pickup truck. This action was purely for the sake of his relationship with Hobbs, and it was purely a personal act. Therefore, he did not intend to bring anything related to the IRS, such as the drone that had become Ron's symbol, and his super combat team. On the other hand, Hobbs's situation was not good, and it finally came to the point where Ron needed to take action. Jet, I want to tell you something. All along, you have been the only one who treated me well and never made fun of me. I only trust you in the world. I know you have many friends, but I am not. You are my only friend, Kevin. Just as Hobbs was confessing his love to his old high school classmate, Kevin pressed the tracker given to him by the CIA with a guilty look on his face. Sorry, buddy. Sorry for what? Hobbs was confused. I told them our location. They wanted to hurt Maggie. I had to do this. There was no other way. Kevin lowered his head in guilt, not daring to look Hobbs in the eye. Sorry. At this moment, the alarm rang in the distance. Kevin, who was led by Hobbs, finally made up his mind to betray Hobbs after the fierce battle in the office and the 2 crises with the psychiatrist. Before Hobbs could react, countless police cars surrounded him in the middle. A large number of detectives with live ammunition surrounded him as if they were facing a great enemy, pointing their guns at Hobbs. Don't move. Hobbs, put your hands on your head. Now, Hobbs didn't even have time to take out his gun. He stood there in a daze. He could only obey the order helplessly, slowly raised his hand above his head and put it on his head, but when his hand was halfway up, his encrypted phone rang. Don't answer the phone, keep your hands on your head. Wait a minute, the woman in a suit stopped her subordinates. Maybe it's the buyer of the secret key. Hobbs, I want you to answer the phone now, turn on the sound. Hobbs had to do it obediently under the pressure of the gun. He slowly put his hand into his pocket and pinched the phone out with only 2 fingers to avoid unnecessary misunderstandings. He showed the phone in front of the agents and pressed the connect button after getting the woman's nod. Immediately, Ron's voice came out of the receiver after being changed and was heard by everyone. Buzz Lightyear, this is Cowboy Woody, Ron shouted frivolously. Woody calling Buzz Lightyear. Woody and Buzz Lightyear are both characters in the movie Toy Story. When others were still confused, Hobbs smiled knowingly and immediately understood that his reinforcements had arrived. This is Ron. As for why he was given this nickname, Hobbs, who watched the movie with his daughter, understood it very well. Ron is from Texas, where cowboy culture is most popular. As for why he is called Buzz Lightyear, probably because of his bald head. The female agent was confused by the shouting on the phone. Wasn't it agreed that the code name of the traitor was Black Badger? What the hell are Woody and Buzz Lightyear? The female agent nervously pointed the gun at Hobbs' head, signaling him to reply quickly, and at the same time growled to the men around him, go check, who is Cowboy Woody? Report to the commander. I think it may be a character in a children's movie, the men with children whispered. This is Buzz Lightyear, what's the matter? I want to ask, if the newly bought Buzz Lightyear's hood is opened, what will he do? Ron asked without asking, and Hobbs immediately remembered the plot in the movie. I think he will hold his breath. Hobbs suddenly had an idea, took a deep breath, and held his breath. Bingo. Correct answer. Ron smiled and pressed the launch button on the pickup truck. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The 4 steel pipes behind the pickup truck fired 4 round rockets in turn. Because the distance was close enough, he almost didn't need to aim and fell into the middle of the agents besieging Hobbs. There's an air raid. Get down, the female agent who had experienced war shouted, and immediately threw her to the ground, ready to face the next explosion. However, after the rocket landed not far in front of him, it only made a slight explosion, not as violent as expected. No way. That size must be more powerful than this. The agent gently opened his eyes and looked at the explosion. Where was the rocket? It was clearly a gas tank that kept emitting white smoke. Wait? Gas tank? Before he could figure out what was going on, the white smoke from the gas tank hit him in the face, and instantly a spicy, pungent smell choked him and made his nose and tears flow down. At this time, the sound of the engine sounded, and he didn't have time to think about it and pulled his boss aside. Ron's pickup truck almost brushed past him. The car window opened, and Ron, who was wearing a gas mask, threw a gas mask to Hobbs, who immediately put it on his face and took a long, greedy breath. Ahem, there's an enemy attack, shoot. The female agent coughed and gave orders with difficulty, and suddenly there were a lot of gunshots. But because of the smoke, they were almost blindly firing, and the big car was hit by only a few bullets. Ron even provocatively put the car in neutral and stepped on the accelerator hard, playing music. It was as if he was afraid that they would miss him. I'm tired of being what you want me to be, feeling so faithless under the surface. Don't know what you're expecting of me, put under the pressure of walking in your shoes. Every step that I take is another mistake to you. Caught in the undertow, just caught in the undertow. I've become so numb I can't feel you there. I've become so tired, so much more aware of becoming this. All I want to do, bang bang bang. The female agent was so angry that she emptied 2 magazines at the place where the music and the engine sound came from, but the music still showed no sign of stopping. Until the smoke cleared, the female agent looked at the outline revealed in the smoke and couldn't help cursing, FXXK. 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 She cursed 3 words starting with F in a row before kicking down the broken speaker that was still playing music, and Ron, the pickup truck, Hobbs and even Kevin all disappeared without a trace. It turned out that when Ron drove the car into the smoke, he had put a speaker on the ground, which had music and car engine sounds he had recorded in advance, creating the illusion that someone was provoking them. Hobbs had already gotten into the car with Kevin after getting the gas mask, and drove away with Ron, leaving only the stupid CIA agent shooting at the speaker. The most bizarre thing was that the speaker was not damaged at all in the fierce gunfight. Hobbs took off his gas mask. Ron, how did you come up with this idea? You are a genius, Ron shrugged. To be honest, you are not the first person to say that I am a genius today. Admit it, I am better than you, it's just one time today. Hobbs shook his head unconvinced. Whatever you want, believe it or not, I will win the next contest between us. Where are we going next time? Boston. Damn it, in that case, we need a plane. Ron slapped the steering wheel helplessly. Chapter 120 Stealing a Plane. Bang, bang, bang. The agents who reacted fired at the pickup truck as if to vent their anger, but in the end, they fired in vain, only a string of sparks on the doors on both sides of the pickup truck. Oh, Kevin, who was thrown on the back seat, was so scared that he shrank left and right and screamed. What should we do with him? Ron pointed at Kevin in the back. According to our IRS habit of dealing with traitors, we should tie him up with ropes and throw him out, and then bet on whether he will be dragged to death by a car or shot to death by the pursuers first. They will both die, right? What's the difference? You must be kidding me, right? Kevin complained loudly in dissatisfaction. You think I'm kidding you? Ron turned his head and smiled darkly. Kevin screamed in fear and shrank into a ball in the back seat. He would really do that. Hobbs turned around and patted the shocked Kevin as if to comfort him. But he won't do that to you. You are my friend, Ron complained helplessly. I really don't understand. What's the point of bringing such a burden to such an operation? Can you help me to rob a plane at the international airport? No. Hobbs hurriedly stopped Ron's crazy idea. A small piston plane is enough from here to Boston. No need to go to the international airport. Are you still planning to rob a Boeing 737? You will call the army. Damn it, why should I go with you? Forget it, I'll join, okay? Don't leave me out of the car. Kevin was shocked by Ron's crazy idea. He realized that Ron was really crazy and could only surrender. Yes, Ron. Hobbs high-fived and celebrated. He now felt like he was being fooled. Outside the private airport, Kevin nervously peeked inside, then immediately retracted his gaze. There's only one guard inside. That's easy. I'll just kill him. Ron impatiently took out his revolver, but was suppressed by Hobbs. Dude, have you forgotten what I told you? This is an operation between our own people and our own people. We must try to avoid casualties. That's just an innocent guard. Receiving Hobbs' wink signal, Ron put the gun back to his waist. Okay, then what do you want to do? Listen. Hobbs turned his head and looked at Kevin. 90% of spy work is distraction. You go distract the guard and we'll steal the plane. Huh? Kevin looked astonished, pointed at himself, and went back to compare the guard's figure. Bob, what do you count on me and others? Huh? You mean Hobbs? He went to tow the plane. Ron glanced absent-mindedly at the place where Hobbs left. He now understood that this guy was really bold. He was wanted worldwide, but he still had the mood to train his old classmate in spy skills. 90% of spy work is distracting others, and then seizing the opportunity to get what you want. Isn't this a famous saying of Teacher Kiki in class? It seems that Hobbs really wants to bring his classmates to spy work. Then why don't you go? Why should I go? Ron spread his hands. As a gentleman, hard labor is not suitable for my identity. Compared to watching a big man fighting with an airplane, I am more curious about how you will distract the guard's attention. Okay, you watch. Kevin was provoked by Ron, and the temper of the Golden Jet also came up. He looked around, picked up a blue box on the ground and walked in with a swagger. Ron followed him in. He wanted to see what this little guy was going to do. Sir, you can't come in. This is a private airport. Kevin was not afraid at all. He put the box on the counter and said, Hey, I need a plane. I said, this is a private airport, I know, but there is an organ in this color that needs to be transported urgently. Kevin made up a story seriously. If Ron hadn't seen the box he just picked up, he would have almost believed it. This little guy is really talented. Really? The guard looked skeptical. Because my sister-in-law had a heart transplant last year, so I know they must not use lunch coolers to store organs. I don't want to tell the truth, but being exposed on the spot, Kevin's face was not embarrassed at all, but solemnly, "This is not a heart." The guard crossed his arms. "It's not a heart? What is it?" "Well, this is the XX of an adult male." Puff. Ron couldn't help laughing, and Kevin glared back with disgust. "I'm full of questions now." Even though the guard had already seen that Kevin was just making things up, he couldn't bear to send him away. After all, any man who heard such a novel story would definitely listen to it, even if he knew it was fake, right? No need to ask. Kevin stopped the guard's questioning, with a sad face, and entered the storytelling mode. "Last night, a lady and a man had an argument." Ron was so amused that he pounded the wall. "I take back what I said. You are not completely useless. With your level, it would be a waste of talent if you don't do a talk show." Ron's laughter was met with glares from Kevin and the guard. At this moment, Hobbs had already come out of the warehouse with a plane, twisting his body coquettishly through the glass, which was so hot that Ron covered his eyes and couldn't bear to look directly at it. "Sir, there is no need for us to look down on each other here." Kevin shook his head. "I don't believe a word you say. Let me see." The guard interrupted Kevin. "Of course it's okay to show you. If you want to see it, then be prepared. It's better to prepare a magnifying glass." As he said, Kevin opened the box, and the moment the guard poked his head out, Ron was quick-witted and hooked the guard's head with his hand, and slammed it hard on the table. Bang! The guard fainted. Kevin jumped up and complained dissatisfiedly, "Hey! Hobbs said that there can be no casualties." "Don't worry, he just fainted. Besides, who said that the big guy's the captain?" Ron sneered disdainfully, and with a flash of his eyes, he saw the thing in the box and happily grabbed it out. It was a snake. "Shit!" Kevin jumped back a big step in fear, while Ron was extremely happy. Chapter 121 The Real Black Badger. Slurp, slurp. Kevin drank a big bowl of soup comfortably, and exclaimed sincerely, "It smells so good. Is there any more snake meat?" "No, what's wrong? I'll just eat it." Snake soup is definitely one of the most delicious foods in the world, especially suitable for mental workers like you who do talk shows. Ron learned the bad behavior in the game. After knocking out the airport guard, he didn't forget to search the airport warehouse. As a result, he really found an electric cooker for picnics and some simple seasonings. After asking Hobbs to fly the plane more steadily, Ron spent more than 2 hours in the air at an altitude of more than 1,000 feet to cook a pot of snake soup as energy supplement for 3 people. "It's all your fault, Bob. You ate too much." Kevin pointed the finger at his classmate. "You almost ate half a snake by yourself." "Hey, it's not my fault. I haven't eaten it for a long time. When we were training on the island before, Ron often made it for us. At that time, there were Barney, Christmas, Yin Yang, and Thor. I don't know how they are now," Hobbs said with great nostalgia while flying the plane. "I don't know about others, but as for Barney," Ron showed a look of contempt on his face, "I just saw him go to box with a group of athletes under the alias Rocky some time ago. Damn, isn't this bullying the honest people? You don't know how badly those boxers were bullied by him. The most ridiculous thing is that he even pretended to be old and let those little guys think they have a chance to win. It seems that he has a rich spare time." It was getting dark, and the plane finally made an emergency landing on a lawn outside Boston. Ron hijacked a car at random and took them to the transaction location indicated by the coordinates. Boston Central Park. "I don't understand. If the coordinates are correct, we are here now." Kevin looked at the empty square and asked in doubt. Hobbs looked at his watch. "The transaction will start in 30 minutes, so we are a little early." "No," Kevin objected. "Why should this kind of transaction be carried out in an open-air square? Why take risks? This doesn't make sense." "Buddy, damn it, congratulations, blind student, you found the point." Ron clapped his hands without sincerity. Kevin's wit and Hobbs' poor acting skills, who deliberately acted stupid to guide his friend. "Wait," Kevin looked around and had an idea. "The transaction is not conducted on the ground. It's underground. Look over there, there is an underground garage." Following the direction of Kevin's finger, "There is an underground parking lot." Ron rolled his eyes at Hobbs. "How about it? After spending half a day, your little cutie finally found the correct answer. Can we start now?" "Good eyesight, Jet," Hobbs praised with relief and began to make arrangements. "You stay here and keep watch. We will go down together." I will disguise myself as a black badger, and run. You wait for the opportunity to act, no problem, but for your behavior of letting me blow the cold wind for so long today, I have to solemnly tell you that my appearance fee is now increased. When the things are handed over to the CIA, I want 2/3 of the benefits. Hey, you are too immoral. This is obviously my mission, Hobbs retorted dissatisfiedly. You made this mess yourself. You know I could have ignored you or taken you back with them, Ron said in an unquestionable tone. Isn't it enough for you to be cleared of all charges? Okay, hey. You can't leave me behind. Feeling ignored, Kevin yelled in dissatisfaction. I have to follow you. Do you know what the consequences will be if you leave me here? Someone will die, and that person will be me. No, then take him with you. Hobbs just opened his mouth when he was interrupted by Ron, who casually took out a gun from his pocket and handed it to him. But let me tell you, following us is not an absolutely safe plan. Are you ready to kill or be killed at any time? Kevin swallowed hard, hesitated for a moment, and finally took the pistol that Ron handed to him. That's good. Ron made an okay gesture to Hobbs, and then naturally took the lead. Your plan was too stupid. We don't need to show up. Now everything will go according to my plan. Ron dragged out 2 large long backpacks from the car. These 2 backpacks contain fire bazookas that I specially asked someone to get. The dry powder in them was replaced by a mixture of chili powder and quicklime, so remember to wear the gas mask in the bag later. Hobbs and I will guard the exit of the parking lot. After we find the people who are trading, we will surround them in the middle. After confirming the identities of the traders, we will take photos as evidence, and then we can open fire. Are there any other problems? Yes, Kevin raised a small black hand. What should I do? Follow Hobbs closely, and try not to die? Ron smiled, showing his white teeth, which scared Kevin and made him shrink back again. 10 minutes later, a convoy drove into the underground garage from the entrance on Hobbs' side. There are 5 cars in total, and there are about 10 to 20 of them. In Area C, Kevin was lying behind a car, nervously reporting to Ron through his headset. Can we start now? Don't be nervous. Hobbs gently stroked his back. These people are just buyers, and the seller hasn't arrived yet. Our goal is to snatch the secret key back from the seller and prove my innocence. Have you installed the bug over there? It's installed. Damn it, even though I'm black, I haven't even fired a gun. The first time I was asked to use this thing to kill someone, Kevin was still mumbling and complaining, but Hobbs's hand to comfort him suddenly froze. He saw a person who should have been dead, Phil. The partner who had died on the mission with him actually appeared in front of him alive. What's the situation over there? I saw the seller is here, Ron's inquiring voice sounded in Hobbs' headset. Hobbs growled in disbelief. Ron, you won't believe this, Black Badger is actually Phil. I thought he was dead. Is he from the CIA? Yes, that's not surprising. He is definitely not the first person in the CIA to be a traitor. They may have been glorious for a while in the past when there was the KGB, but now it's just a nursing home that is only involved in corruption and drug trafficking. I have no doubt that this guy must have done such a thing because he got too little money when he got the stolen goods. Hobbs collected his thoughts and put his eyes back on the side of the rocket launcher. So what should we do now? Fire, of course. Ron couldn't wait to pull the trigger before he finished speaking. Chapter 122. My hand slipped. Enemy attack. As the gangsters who were trading howled, the 2 parties who were originally trading looked back and saw 3 rockets falling into the crowd, scaring everyone to lie down immediately. Boom. As the explosion sounded, the expected fire did not appear. The 3 rockets blew up a large area of dry powder, covering the gangsters, and Hobbs' former partner Phil had already slipped out of the basement in the chaos. Run. Phil ran away. Hobbs reported the situation to Ron while shooting into the smoke. You guys go chase him, leave this to me. Ron immediately made a decisive order. Also, take your burden with you. Don't let me kill him accidentally, okay? Be careful. Knowing Ron's ability, Hobbs didn't waste any words and grabbed Kevin by the collar. He chased him out of the basement like he was carrying a little chicken. Until the news that Hobbs had left came through the headset, Ron, who had moved from the firing point to a new pillar with the help of the smoke, chuckled. Now I can finally let go, scum. Wait for death. It was not that Ron did not want to kill the terrorists in the smoke just now, but the smoke blocked Ron's shooting sight after causing the terrorists to fall into chaos. Of course, these terrorists were not fools. Except for the 2 unlucky guys who were shot by Ron and Hobbs based on their memory at the beginning, All of them rolled behind the nearest cover at the first time. When the smoke cleared, the terrorists nervously pointed their guns to the outside, but they did not see anything except a few cars in the empty garage. What the hell? Ron observed the position of the terrorists through the rearview mirror of the car next to him, and suddenly rushed up, flashed out from behind the pillar, and quickly took out the M500 revolver from the holster like a Western movie. Bang! 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 The heads of the 5 terrorists targeted by Ron were like fireworks, and were smashed into a pool of blood by the powerful bullets. Over there, of course, the terrorists were not to be outdone, and immediately picked up the guns at hand and fired wildly at Ron. Ron quickly dodged behind the pillar again, and the bullets left a row of bullet holes on the pillar. FXXK. It's an assault rifle. Ron threw out the magazine and dumped out 5 empty shells, and reloaded 5 bullets. The well-trained terrorists, under the command of the leader, surrounded him from both sides. If it were an ordinary person, he would definitely die in this situation, but how could Ron be compared to an ordinary person? Ron looked at his watch and silently counted the distance of the terrorists outside. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 boom. Ron pressed his finger on the controller lightly, and the inconspicuous square box that Ron had just stuck on the wall when he moved behind the pillar exploded. The huge flames carried about 700 steel balls, instantly engulfing the advancing terrorist team. When the flames dissipated, only a pile of rotten meat that could not be distinguished was left. These were all his most elite men. The terrorist leader's eyes were bloodshot, and he shouted to the team on the other side, "Stop moving forward. This bastard has a broadsword mine," but he shouted a little too late, and Ron did not give him any chance. At this time, the terrorist team just walked to the place where Ron had laid the mine in advance, and he pressed his finger again. Boom, there was another loud bang. And the 2 terrorist teams were completely wiped out. In addition to the 2 unlucky guys who were killed at the beginning, there were only 3 men left to protect the leader, which was just enough for Ron's 5 bullets in the magazine, with 1 remaining. Ron flashed out from behind the pillar again. Bang! 2 shots. The 2 men who were looking around nervously fell down, becoming 2 headless bodies. Ron's shooting skills were as sharp as ever. "We surrender. Let us go. I can give you a lot of money." The terrorist leader was frightened by Ron's shooting skills and shouted while hiding behind the car. "A lot of money? How much is that?" Ron showed interest. "I can give you as much as you want. For example, how about 10 million? I mean 10 million US dollars." Seeing that there seemed to be a way, the leader continued to tempt with money. To show his sincerity, he threw the pistol out from the back of the car, but quietly hooked the assault rifle of a dead man with his foot, winked at the remaining man, pulled out the safety on the grenade, and waited for Ron to get closer to catch him off guard. "It sounds like a lot. How are you going to pay? Card or cash?" Ron's voice sounded like it was fixed in place. The terrorist leader estimated the distance and threw the grenade to Ron's position. "I'll give it to you now. Go find your god." Boom. The terrorist leader and his men flashed out from behind the car at the same time, and 2 assault rifles fired wildly at Ron's position. Wait. After the smoke cleared, the leader did not see Ron's hateful body as he wished, and only a broken speaker was left there. If there were CIA agents in the morning, they would definitely recognize that this was the same model as the one Ron teased them with. God knows how many speakers of the same model Ron bought and put in the storage space. Where did he go? Bang! As soon as the leader finished speaking, the head of the man next to him exploded, and a metal pipe with residual heat was pressed against his head. I asked God, and he said that he can't cash your check. Why don't you go and talk to him in person to see if there's any problem with your check? Behind the barrel of the gun was Ron's extremely friendly smiling face, which at this moment seemed to him more terrifying than the devil in hell. Don't shoot. I can give you whatever you want. This time I really want it. Please, don't shoot. The terrorist leader was pointed at his head by the barrel of the gun by Ron, and he immediately put on the most correct surrender posture without any willpower. Tisk, it's so boring. I thought you could play with me for a while, or at least resist, like knocking my gun away, and then have a happy fight. Have you ever seen a movie? That's how it's played in action movies. It's over so soon? Ron knocked the leader's head with his gun out of boredom. Stop. In the basement, a very capable woman in a suit suddenly appeared from nowhere and pointed a gun at the leader controlled by Ron. From now on, he is a prisoner of our CIA. Please hand him over to me. Thank you. Is the CIA picking peaches with me here? Ron sneered in his heart, but hooked his finger lightly. Bang! Before the leader could react, his head, with a look of astonishment on his face, was shot into a bloody mess by the powerful bullet of the M500 revolver. Ron was not afraid of the woman's pistol at all and smiled apologetically. "Sorry, my hand slipped." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123 CIA Conditions. "You bastard. I'm arresting you in the name of the CIA." The woman was so angry that she turned the muzzle of the gun in her hand towards Ron, but Ron was not afraid at all. "CIA arrests me? Who do you think you are? Believe it or not, your boss, Anonymous, doesn't dare to talk to me like this." Ron took a step forward without fear of the woman's threat, as if the gun in her hand was a toy. "What are you doing? Don't come over." The woman was frightened by Ron's momentum and took a step back. She continued to point the gun at Ron and shouted in a cowardly manner, "If you take another step forward, I will shoot." "Shoot." Ron smiled grimly, which was extremely terrifying in the eyes of the female agent. "You can try. Even though you are pointing a gun at me now, I promise that I can shoot you before you shoot. Do you believe it? Or do you want to see your own brain?" Ron continued to stride forward, completely ignoring the female agent's gun. The female agent stepped back in fear. Because from the corpse on the ground, what he said was true. The female agent just said a word, and her back hit the wall with a thud. Unknowingly, she was forced into a corner, and Ron took advantage of his moment of shock to quickly grab her gun. Is the quality of the CIA really at this level now? Ron shook his head and sighed. "Take out any other bits and pieces on your body. Don't force me to search you." "No." The female agent turned her pockets upside down and showed them to Ron. "Thank you for your gentlemanly behavior." "You're welcome. It's mainly because you're too ugly." Ron shrugged indifferently, and the female agent was almost broken by his words. "Wait for me, otherwise I can't beat you, and I will let you see the power of CIA's torture." Unexpectedly, Ron suddenly handed over his mobile phone. "Call Anonymous and tell him that Ron is looking for him." "How do you know Anonymous? Who are you?" The female agent realized that this man really knew her superior. "You still don't know who you are dealing with, do you?" Ron curled his lips. "Your CIA is really the worst I've ever seen. Unlike when I was a kid, when my brother just ordered a few smoke alarms, you would come to our door immediately. Look at it now, when the weapon keys are lost, we have to rely on outsiders to find them back." "It's rubbish." "Smoke alarm?" the female agent asked in confusion while dialing. "Why did your brother order a smoke alarm? Could he have made a mistake? We in the CIA are not that idle. Maybe it's because the model he ordered contains the radioactive element americium." Ron spread his hands. "That kind-hearted kid just wants to build a small nuclear power plant to generate electricity for the town. What's wrong with that?" "Hello, who is this?" The anonymous old voice came from the receiver. The female agent handed the phone to Ron with a tactful look, but Ron shook his head and pressed the speaker. "Your men are in my hands." Ron pointed at the female agent's head with his gun. "What's your name?" "Harris." "Yes, Harris. Now I have the life of one of your men in my hands, and the secret key of the weapon you are looking for." "What's your price, old man?" Ron said in a vicious tone. "Ron, this joke is not funny. Thank you for your contribution to the country. Now can you please return the secret key and the phone to my poor men?" "Tisk, it's really boring, but I tell you, old man, this matter can't be let go like this. You must give me a reward. You must give me the same amount as you give Hobbs." It's a good idea to talk to the anonymous person directly after Hobbs, without the morning business to make a profit. "The condition I give Hobbs is to give him an additional CIA position, which can mobilize some military resources on a small scale. Do you want to become my men like him?" The old man laughed and said. "So you already knew about Hobbs? I was wondering why Hobbs kept stressing that there should be no casualties. So you were acting? You are really an old fox. Rather than a fox, I'd say I'm a good hunter. I just wanted to find a way to catch the traitor, and it worked, didn't it?" The old man smiled, his tone revealing a kind of confidence that everything was under control. "I'm not interested in your CIA affairs, and I don't plan to work for you. How about we talk about cashing in my work?" Ron changed the topic to one that he was more interested in. "It just so happens that I'm planning to change my car recently. What do you think about getting an M1A2 from the Army? By the way, Reimburse me for all my future gas money. It will be very cool to drive it out to collect taxes. No, that's absolutely impossible, the old man rejected decisively. Even if I agree to give it to you, Mr. Francis will not agree to let you drive it around the city. It will cause panic among the citizens. Stingy old man, how about exchanging it for cash? I heard that this thing can be exchanged for $10 million on the black market. How about giving me a bonus of $5 million? Ron opened his mouth wide. Impossible, the old man said righteously. Our funds all come from the military allocation of the Ministry of Finance. It is impossible to give such a large bonus for such a thing. Tisk, don't think I don't know that you spent more than this amount to transport goats to Afghanistan. I haven't counted the villa you built there yet. Ahem, the old man interrupted awkwardly with a cough. That's not a villa. It's just a slightly more luxurious residence built to attract local investment. Why don't we continue to talk about the $5 million? This price is too high. Why don't I give you a bonus of $1 million, and this money will be reimbursed for the material loss on your site? In other words, this money does not need to pay taxes. In addition, when you need it, I am willing to use the resources of the army to provide you with some necessary conveniences. You know, this alone will cost more than this amount. At the end, the old man did not forget to add, it's impossible for me to give you tanks, but I can lend them to you when you need them. Not only tanks, but other weapons are also fine. No tax, Ron sneered. Who do you think I am? 1.5 million. Ron's expression was ferocious. Are you insulting me with money? 2 million. Thank you for the reward. Big Boss Ron immediately put on a smiling expression and said affectionately, what money? Talking about money hurts our feelings. I help you purely for the friendship between us. When will the money arrive? Tomorrow at noon. I will ask my assistant to give you a check, but you have to sign a damage report with an on-site appraisal result of 10 million. This old man is even more evil than me. The female agent looked up and looked around. There were only a few cars that were shot on the basement where the battle just happened. Is this worth 10 million? She asked her own question. Paper and pen. Ron stretched out his hand. And the female agent obediently handed it over. Ron wrote a word on the paper and pasted it on the body of the car that was shot, covering the original car logo. Now it's worth it. On the paper, Ron wrote in ugly handwriting, Bugatti. Chapter 124 Rajesh wins the prize. After returning home, Ron looked at the extra deposit in his bank account, and he was so happy. However, it was hard for the female agent who was with him. Because Ron's behavior was too perfunctory, after he left, although the female agent was very disgusted, she had to replace all the car logos such as Bugatti or Rolls-Royce written on paper with real ones for Ron. Although the people who were reimbursed and assessed the damage were all from their own people, it would still be unpleasant to be so blatant. After all, the CIA still has to have some dignity. But before Ron could lie comfortably on the sofa for long, he heard the door of the apartment opposite open. Today was Chinese dinner night, and Ron got up and walked to the apartment opposite. Rajesh's Kung Pao chicken, Penny's dumplings, Ron's whole roasted brisket, who ordered the lobster with fresh shrimp sauce. The delivery boy Leonard began to distribute the food. Look here, you dirty little delicacy. Howard reached out to take it and leaned close to Penny's ear. I'm not just talking about food, I'll say it again. You're really disgusting. Penny waved her fork expressionlessly. Sit aside. Howard failed to flirt with the girl and sat aside in shame. As soon as Penny finished speaking, the door was opened again. Sheldon came home and saw Penny sitting in his seat. Sit aside. This time Penny sat on the sofa, but it just suited her because she was next to Ron. Do you want baby wipes? Before Penny had time to rub some oil on Ron, Sheldon handed over a box. Why should I use it? No. Don't ask, Leonard and Howard shouted together, but it was still a step too late. Let me tell you why. I have to disinfect my hands, because the university replaced the paper towels used to wipe hands in the bathroom with dryers. Sheldon complained as if no one was around. Why do I feel that the air dryer is more hygienic? Penny blurted out, and the temporary resistance duo formed by Leonard and Howard failed again. The air dryer can be said to be the birthplace of bacteria and plague. Sheldon glared at them proudly. No one can stop my science time. To be honest, it is cleaner to use an air dryer than to use a gorilla with plague to sneeze on my hand. The beef that Ron had just eaten suddenly lost its fragrance. Sheldon, can you not talk about such disgusting topics when eating? Guys, I have a big one. The door was opened again, and Rajesh rushed in excitedly, but when he saw Penny sitting on the sofa, The rest of the words were stuck in his throat. Good news? Oh my god, Rajesh, if you are not drunk, you still can't talk to me properly, right? Penny said to Rajesh, but her eyes were looking at Ron. The look in her eyes clearly said, look, my charm is so great that even an Indian would bow down to me. Why don't you hurry up and capture me, little Ron? Ron rolled his eyes. Is that your charm? Rajesh is like this even if she is a woman. Penny hit a wall again and had to pack up her things by herself. Okay, then I'll go back and eat by myself. Penny, you don't have to be like this. The licking dog Leonard wanted to try to keep her. It's okay, considering that he, pointing to Rajesh, doesn't talk, he keeps talking, pointing to Sheldon, and he wants to talk, pointing to Howard. I'd better leave, goodbye, you poor weirdo. Penny kissed Rajesh on the face and left gracefully. She might be considerate. Rajesh's eyes were filled with love. Ron knocked on the table helplessly. Hey, guys, can you be more promising? Don't forget that her patent has been approved. Sooner or later, girls like Penny will throw themselves into your arms one by one. As a future millionaire, can you please be more reserved? I won't become a millionaire. Howard shook his head dejectedly. Our school's regulations require that the school take 70% of the profits from all our invention patents during the school period. Wait? If the school takes 70%, what about my share? Ron raised his head from the food with a fierce look in his eyes. It seems I need to talk to your principal. No. Howard quickly stopped his dangerous idea. The school only takes 70% based on our shares. It has nothing to do with yours. That's good. Ron lowered his head and continued to concentrate on his food, leaving the ignored Rajesh standing there alone and messy. Hey, guys, have you forgotten something? Oh, yes, you just said there is good news? What good news? Remember the planet I located? Rajesh was extremely excited. Because of it, People magazine nominated me as one of the top 30 under 30. Rajesh, congratulations. Great. Wait, Sheldon asked suspiciously, can I know what kind of focus people are selected? 30 visionaries under 30 years old who deserve attention. Faced with doubts, Rajesh was a little unhappy, because they challenged some traditional views in their fields. Well, it seems that some magazines are full and bored again. Ron swallowed a mouthful of beef and echoed. Well, let me guess a million times and I can't guess it's this. Sheldon nodded knowingly, and the contempt in his eyes was visible to the naked eye. This is a very cool thing. Rajesh blushed. They selected me together with a person who studies famine in Indonesia. There is also a psychotherapist who uses dolphins to influence prisoners in prison. Rajesh tried to use other elites selected to prove the authority of this award, but the result was that he made things worse. I think this so-called psychotherapist must have a serious illness. Ron was shocked by such a ridiculous research direction. Maybe he should see a psychiatrist. The other three scientists nodded in agreement. And Ellen Page. She's the protagonist of the movie Juno. Oh, I definitely want to have sex with her. Howard was instantly excited when he mentioned female stars. If it's a female, you even want to have sex with dolphins? Ron was shocked by Howard's strong XX and complained helplessly. Will you mention the telescope racket I designed for you in the interview? Howard asked expectantly. Sorry, this has nothing to do with the heartwarming story I want to tell. Rajesh, who finally got attention, stroked his chest with a sacred face. This is a story about a silly boy from New Delhi who overcame poverty and discrimination and came to the United States from afar to pursue his dreams. Bullshit. Ron put down the cutlery and couldn't bear it anymore. Your father clearly drives a Bentley. You even have more than 100 servants in your house. Chapter 125 Brazil. What? The other two friends opened their mouths in disbelief. Of course, Sheldon was not included. Ron ignored Rajesh's pleading eyes. Of course it's true. Sheldon can testify that Rajesh's family is rich enough to rival a country. Sheldon nodded in the shocked eyes of the other two. Yes, I have notarized some documents for Rajesh before. If we compare it with the characters in the comics, Rajesh's family is as rich as Iron Man. Sheldon was answered by two shocked faces. I don't understand. What kind of jury decides who is on the list? I can't find any common points among the people you mentioned just now, except that they are all under 30 years old. Come on, this is People magazine. Of course People chose me. People are all written as people in English. Who are these people? What criteria do they use to judge? Why are they qualified to judge? Why is accidentally discovering a piece of broken rock that has been floating in the solar system for billions of years more outstanding than other scientists under the age of 30? Ron said nothing. He could see that Sheldon was just sour grapes. Oh my god. I don't think Ellen Page's friends would criticize her like this. Rajesh left the table angrily and slammed the door. Are you satisfied now? Of course Sheldon nodded, and Leonard looked up at the sky in silence. At this time, Ron had finished his dinner while they were talking, stood up, and patted Leonard's shoulder pitifully. If you still plan to pursue Penny, it's best not to tell her about Rajesh's family. Why? Leonard asked puzzled. No reason. We are a capitalist country. In this country, it is not difficult to like money and marry for money. Ron glanced at everyone and said meaningfully, if you really regard Rajesh as a friend, it is best not to promote him. In Los Angeles, among the people I know, there are more than 24 guys who are willing to kidnap a group to make some extra money. Are you kidding? This is the famous Los Santos. Among the group of speeding people who follow Toretto, Ron can easily find more than half of them with various criminal records. There was no conversation that night. The next day, Ron finally remembered that he still had a job and returned to his office. He was warmly received by his subordinates. Boss, you are finally back. If you don't come back, I will be ready to share the funds in the account with everyone and disband, Andy said to him humorously. Then I will chase you to the ends of the earth and bring you back. Ron smiled and looked at Arthur, who was in charge of intelligence. Are there any particularly noteworthy intelligence recently? It seems that we have not been open for a long time. Maybe it's time to find a sucker and earn your bonus this year. Of course, Arthur shook his head. Some time ago, there was news on the street that the CIA's weapons key was lost. Maybe we can. This matter has been resolved. Next one. Ron shook his head. Arthur hesitated for a moment, and a named NBA player contacted me through a special channel and wanted me to kill Shaquille O'Neal, the star player of the Miami Heat. The price is very generous. Unnamed NBA player. Ron was speechless. Do you need to guess? It must be Kobe. This job must not be done. Everyone knows who the mastermind is, and once he is caught, he will immediately give you up and say that you did it too. The honest man Hank's 3 views were shattered. Boss. Shouldn't we be a tax collection agency here? How can we do the work of these killers? Don't worry about these details. Ron waved his hand, but his mind was working fast, and he immediately thought of a good target. By the way, how is Barack, who escaped from the border last time, doing now? Can we use him as a target? He fled to Brazil and continued to run his drug empire, and his business is bigger than before. Andy suddenly interrupted, took out a document and put it on the table. It seems that he has a relationship with a congressman. He is now almost blatantly transporting drugs to the United States through large smuggling ships, almost monopolizing the heroin trade in all western states. Now not only the FBI, but even the CIA has set their sights on him, but they can't do anything about him, because even the Brazilian police have been bribed by him and even help him transport drugs. There are rumors that the current Brazilian president is a node in his interest chain. Ron picked up the document on the table. This was a piece of intelligence sent from the FBI. Andy was not exaggerating, and even had some reservations because he was not familiar with intelligence work. Based on the vague words in the intelligence, Ron immediately analyzed that Barack's actual control over Brazil might be greater than imagined. Although the Brazilian government is the legitimate government of Brazil, everyone with a discerning eye knows that the so-called president is just a puppet in the open, and the gangs are still the ones who really control Brazil. They are even more effective than the police in talking. There have even been cases where the police just spent money to get a batch of new equipment, but before they were used, they appeared in the hands of the gangsters and started fighting in the city. And there are more than one such cases. How arrogant can Brazilian gangs be? Ron can say without exaggeration that if they were not concerned about the bad international impact and fear of other countries joining forces to intervene, these crazy people would even dare to drive tanks to grab territory in the capital city. Oh my god, Ron licked his lips excitedly. Don't you think this is such a juicy fish? I say, how about we set him as our next target? Boss, are you crazy? Even the Brazilian government can't do anything to them. Hank opened his mouth in shock. If we want to deal with them, we must at least send out the Marines and the Air Force to work together to deal with them. This is a war. This is a war. Do you think we can conquer a country alone, or are you sick? Hank put the back of his hand on Ron's head to test the temperature. You must have a fever. Why don't you go home and rest for a while? I'm not crazy, nor am I sick. Ron slapped Hank's fat hand away in annoyance. I just think this may be an opportunity. Opportunity? Yes. Ron pointed to the description in the intelligence confidently and said, don't think Barack is so powerful. He is just one of the many gangsters in Brazil. It just happens that he is the strongest one now. Believe it or not, if he dies now, a new gangster will immediately step on his corpse to take the position. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.